Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here, and welcome to episode 3 of H.A.M Radio Live. We hope all of you are doing absolutely fantastic. This show goes live every single Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on youtube.com/MrMattyPlays. Of course, it's also archived here every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you want to listen to us on the go, we're on all of those spicy podcast platforms from Spotify to Apple to Google. We are there to pleasure your ear holes. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Paul Lombardo. Paul, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
All
Got
right.
a long show ahead of us with lots of news. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some exciting news, too.
Yeah, some long-awaited news at that. So we thank everyone who's joining us nice and early for this episode. We appreciate you supporting us along the way. Paul, some good news. Last week, our episode was received quite well.
Yeah, I was reading the comments. There was still some feedback, some stuff we, worked through to make this episode even better. But lots of positivity, lots of nice people in the comments. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really nice to see. And so we thank everyone who gave our show a second chance in episode 2 to let us, rearrange things, to rebound and get a good structure going. We have a bunch of people in the call-in waiting room, which is nice. It shows that, hey, there are people who want to be a part of this because they get it now. So thank you to all our early adopters. Again, it's always terrifying to change things. Again, I always say that Ham Radio Podcast was just doing fine, and it would have continued to do fine, but we wanted to do something new and different. And so for those of you who are embracing this change, which isn't a common podcast format, and embracing those growing pains as well, thank you. We appreciate you a lot, more than words can really describe, because again, it's just a scary change to make. And, especially, I know, Paul, you're leaping right into this, kind of right into the, what did they say, the lion's den. You're new to podcasting and you're doing it live with call-ins. So it's a whole new framework for you too.
Yeah, it's different. It's weird having something weekly to do, like every Friday, jumping on the podcast.
Right.
And this, like you said, there's some growing pains, coming out of my shell a little bit, trying to be less shy, more talkative, more vocalizing myself better, but it's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm growing.
Exactly. You'd be surprised. I always say that to my audience as they thank me for doing things, and I always thank them for letting me grow as a person, because a lot of the things that have changed about me in a positive manner have been because of feedback from people who watch my content, whether it be the way I speak or the way I behave, just little things like that. So yeah, you'll see the same thing happen to you, and I can already see some change for what it's worth. Good change, by the way. So keep it up. And again, thank you to our audience. Other than that, if anyone wants to call in, or they're interested in calling in, or you want early access to this show once we're done going live and we archive it, you can sign up over at patreon.com/MrMattyPlays. Just for a couple bucks, you can join our Discord server. That's where we do all of our call-ins. Or again, you can listen for early access if you can't catch the live version. The live version is just a bonus for folks who tune in and want to sit here and chat with us and support us in different ways, whether it be just commenting on our thoughts and letting us know how stupid we are, to things like super chats. We appreciate all of it immensely. With that, Paul, you got the timestamps ready? Rocking?
Yeah.
Good to go?
Let me pull that up.
Perfect. All right.
And we're ready to rock and roll.
All right. Let's get into what we're playing. Nothing else really to recap here. Let's talk about Far Cry 6. That's one of the headlines for this episode, because you and I both were reviewing it this past week. We both completed it. And we were so on the same page the whole time with this game.
Yeah. It's just like Deathloop. I mean, we were communicating, so I imagine like that might play into it a little bit. But dude, I don't know. Far Cry 6, disappointing. Really disappointing. And my bar wasn't set very high, but they still managed to go below that, mainly with the villain.
Yeah.
Are we getting into spoilers and stuff? I'm assuming
No spoilers.
Right.
Yeah. Too new. Pardon me.
I figured.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. Where should we get started with the story, gameplay? I think the villain, you brought it up. We should probably go there, right?
Yeah, because that's like the big thing. He's on the cover and everything, big name actor, pedigree actor. They didn't do a good job with him at all.
I don't think so either.
Like no depth to him. They keep him in the back. You barely interact with him as Danny Rojas, and it's just so jarring coming off of characters like Voss and Pagan Min. And even you played Far Cry 5. I didn't play it as much, but you were telling me that, what's his name?
Joseph Seed. Yeah.
Joseph Seed.
It's just as basic as John Seed.
yeah, exactly. But you were saying like he was still interesting and you liked him. Yeah. So it's just weird that they get such a good actor.
I know.
It's so weird. And then they just drop the ball.
I know.
I don't know why.
I know. It's funny because going back and watching my review of Far Cry 5, it's something I did after I recorded my Far Cry 6 review, rendered it, uploaded it. I'm like, I wonder what I said with Far Cry 5, because I named that review like a bumpy road to Montana, depending on how you go about it, because it was sort of a play on words for, in that game, that's where they really started the idea of here's 3 sections of the map with 3 arcs for each of these characters, and then you have the main villain at the end, right? And so it was like a story on how if you play the game maybe starting off in Faith's region, you may have a weaker start than if you were in Jacob's region or something along those lines. And as I was listening more and more to my review, I'm like, holy fuck, there's some things I'm saying that were like buried in here that I was kind of okay with. Like I was talking about, yeah, there's a revolving door of characters. That's kind of whatever. To now, it was a major sticking point all these years later with Far Cry 6. So it just shows how Ubisoft has slowly piled it on for myself, where I kind of hit a breaking point with Far Cry 6. And I was like, this is boring. And especially the jaw-dropping ending of Far Cry 5. I still love what they did with that. I feel like what happened was, without spoiling anything, of course we never will here on this show, Far Cry 6, by the end of its arc with Giancarlo Esposito, it makes no sense. That's all we can really say without spoiling it. He just makes decisions that make zero fucking sense.
There's no indication until like at that very moment when he's making said decision. There's no indication. He doesn't really build as a character. Not that these villains really have character growth anyway, but you don't see how they get to where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the extensions of his character, like his son and some of the other villains, also kind of just fall very flat.
They just exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, we actually got a question here from Nerdy Giant saying, I got to know, after Far Cry 6, do you think there's any hope for Ubisoft? I'm worried that after the Avatar game is going to suffer the same old formula. And that's the thing, is it's so sad that probably the most diverse game that's come out of Ubisoft in the last half a decade is probably Mario and Rabbids. And you'd think with like the popularity of their current series and the way they tried to reinvent Assassin's Creed, and I'm a big supporter of Assassin's Creed now. I liked some of the changes they made. I know that's not as popular of opinion as like the hardcore Ubisoft community, but for me, it's like, no, this was not encouraging because they just are so rooted and obsessed with their own way. So like, it's not even I don't even think it's a safety move. I think a lot of people thought for a while that Ubisoft was doing this as like self-preservation just by making the same game over and over. I think number one, it's because like the reuse of assets, the reuse of templates, it's easy to design a game, Paul, you and I would know, like the way we're trying to pitch our game and stuff. When you have a one-to-one example, it's very easy to explain to someone what you want to do with your game, but they continue to do that. And then it goes into stuff like the mission design. You and I were laughing when we saw like another flamethrower mission. I'm like, dude, they're doing it again.
And it's like they pretty much copy pasted the gameplay systems and how you go about attacking story missions and stuff within the world from Far Cry 5. So it's like now they're going back even further to Far Cry 3, and they're like, okay, what do people like from that game? They like to when you burnt the weed farm and stuff like that. Someone said in the chat, Cam said there's no crafting in Far Cry 5 that made it way less important. I just want to say that I also agree. I hate that there's no crafting in 5 and 6 for hunting, because at least in my opinion, I don't think, Matt, you don't like this as much in Far Cry 3 when you hunt and craft.
I liked it in 3. I just in 4 didn't. I don't. Did they have it in 4? I don't remember. It's been so long.
I think they did.
Yeah,
I think they did.
It didn't grab me as much in that one, if I remember correctly, but 3 it did.
Yeah, for me, it just. I guess for me, it felt part of like the formula.
For sure.
And they took it away, so now I feel less incentivized to explore, even though there's all these other things to do and explore.
Yeah. No, you're totally right.
That's kind of derailing a little bit.
No, I wouldn't say so, because that's the thing, is I think the gameplay feels diluted. What they do is almost take a puzzle and they move the pieces in different places. So instead of there being a skill system now, like there has been in the past couple of Far Cry games, starting really with Far Cry 3, with what I thought was kind of cool with the tattoos going up your arm, they removed that and it's still there, but now it's in your gear. And the reason they put it in your gear is because then you finish a checkpoint or you finish a stash and you get a piece of gear, and that is your skill point, if you will, but you wear that skill point. And it's all about this arsenal system, which I think is probably the coolest part of the game, being able to tweak your ammo types. I was a little bit more thoughtful with my weapon builds in this game compared to previous Far Cry games. But again, it's just that constant reorganizing is what they're doing. They're never inventing something new and adding to the game. They're either borrowing from something you've seen before, like the HUD from Destiny in this case, big time, even when you're accepting missions. Like, insanity, right? Insanity.
That was like something that immediately caught me off guard. I felt like it was like an MMO or MMO. Immediately, there's like a character sitting in, for people who don't know, it puts like a little splash screen. It's gray, and that has like the details of the quest, and then you have the quest giver, and it's just so weird for a Far Cry game. It feels lazy. Like this should be a cutscene or something.
Yeah, it does for sure. It's funny because it's what I think people will probably feel of like Tales of Arise. I talked about that in my review, and you and I were talking about it last night, how we were saying, yeah, like those skits look really low budget, but if you're a Tales of fan, they're technically an upgrade to what they did with like the anime portraits that would bump into each other. And so it's just really interesting to see a AAA company do that with one of their biggest franchises. And what ultimately you have is a game that I can't even recommend as open world comfort food. A lot of people say like, oh, I like that Far Cry is just, I know what to expect. It's fun. You go around, you blow stuff up, but I don't think everything needs to be super mentally engaging for it to be fun. I don't think it needs to be thought-provoking to be particularly gripping. But I just think with Far Cry 6, it's just tired now. It's just tired. And there's already claims going out that I saw. I didn't research them much, but I saw VGC reported that there's claims saying that Far Cry 7 is now going to be more online focused, which would make sense with some of the things we saw in Far Cry 6, like the random third-person camps, and at the end of the game, you unlock these weekly missions that you can do for assassinations around the map. And I'm like, what, is this a single-player game? Like, what do you want to do with this franchise? That's the thing. It's so indecisive.
I think, like, it's also, give it a rest. Just let the game sit for a little bit. If you're constantly releasing these open worlds, it's going to feel samey. I know this is a extreme example, but look at Rockstar. You know, they have open worlds. And I'd say Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe not Grand Theft Auto 5 as much, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty explorable. There's all kinds of stuff to find around the map, and hunting challenges and quests and strangers and freaks missions or whatever. But they spend so much time developing their worlds that they don't feel the same every time you play. Like Red Dead 1 feels totally different from 2. And that's also because there's new gameplay systems and it's like a generational leap there. But my point is they need to stop pumping these games out and just give us something that has, like, I don't know. I don't want to say longevity because I don't know if it really would, but just they're making money, so they're probably not going to do any of our like requests. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But I just want something more substantial, something different. Make the world more engaging. It looks beautiful, super stimulating, and the audio design is also really crisp. But looks only go so far, you know. I don't know about you, but I didn't find the world particularly interesting to explore. There weren't.
It's so beautiful. That's the thing. Yeah, it's so beautiful. But it's. I think what it comes down to, you really touched on it perfectly, was, you know, stuff like the hunting. Right, the hunting is something that was, I think, a big part of the DNA of Far Cry, and it was the little things that don't really matter when you're designing a game. You think, and you're saying like, oh, we can just cut that out. Like when you're looting something, you can't pick up guns in Far Cry 6. You cannot pick up another enemy's gun. You can only pick up their ammo. You don't even. Back in previous Far Cry games, you'd bend over and you'd like run your hands into their pockets and stuff to grab loot, or when you'd skin an
weapons
animal.
Like jam too. Like if you picked up, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. When you pick up an enemy's weapon, it'll jam because it's like low quality. Just that sort of stuff they just keep taking away from the game.
Exactly that. Like especially the hunting where you'd see your character not in full detail, but you'd see them put a knife in and skin something. It made it enjoyable activity because it was like you shot your arrow, you took them out, you went into their ecosystem, and then you skinned them, and now you bring that to create something in the crafting system. I just think the overall removal of all of that and turning it more and more into a checklist is harming the design of the series, because while Far Cry 3 inherently was like one of the very first significant checklist open worlds, like it was really evolving, again, as I said in my review, kind of what I think Pandemic Games was doing. There was stuff beneath the surface there that made it more engaging because you were interacting. And as a Bethesda Game Studios fan, of course, I'm very partial to that stuff. Like I love when I can touch things in the world and interact with them. That just goes a long way with me because it puts me in there more. And I think that works for a lot of our audience. So a lot of that's missing, sadly, in Far Cry 6, and it sucks. Just a couple of super chats I wanted to touch on here. One was from Gaston Colazo. So it says, for my ham radio rainy day fund, thank you for that. We appreciate that. And Unkempt Talk also wrote in with a super chat. The idea of Far Cry 6 just being more Far Cry is appealing to me. I just hope this game doesn't end up being disappointing for me. And that's where we've heard a lot of that, right? We've heard a lot of people say like they're happy it's more of the same.
Yeah, a lot of people liked Far Cry 5, like a lot of people. And a lot of the reviews I was, after like we did our reviews, I was reading other people's and watching other people's, and it's kind of like this weird sentiment. It's like video game junk food. You know, it's like, you know, some people see Marvel movies as like junk food movies because they're not these elevated cinematic masterpieces, but they're enjoyable to watch and they're entertaining. That's sort of like what Far Cry 6 is, and some people love that, and more power to them.
Yeah.
But you know, for us, we want to see more innovation. We want to see something different. And we're sad seeing the systems that we did enjoy, you know, go away. So it's interesting seeing the different takes on it.
Yeah, it's not surprising to me because I know Ubisoft makes their games in a particular way because of their audience, and I don't make it to argue the game that they want to make, but it's more so that there's, I think, so many obvious areas where it can be better, and you can still satisfy your core audience who likes their open world junk food, if you will. Like, that still can exist with new systems added in. It doesn't mean that they have to sit and rest on their laurels. I think that's just kind of making excuses for them after a certain point in time. Not that you can't enjoy it, but I do think that there's a way to carry their design forward in meaningful ways. You know, I like that they want to reinvent things with their skill system, but it's got to be a little bit more than that. And part of it's bringing stuff back that was there, but part of it's also, you know, they're the designers. You got to figure out what makes our game click compared to others.
Another thing too is like, if you're so focused on these open world systems, it comes to a point like where it's taking away from other things like the story, like, you know, and then you have parts of the story that suffer heavily, not just like with characters that are uninteresting, but characters that are just downright you know, you roll your eyes when you see the dialogue. Like, you remember there's like this, I'll just say, a party scene.
La
and
Morale,
you
or whatever.
Yeah, La Morale, bro. And you're just with these teenagers, and they just keep talking about sex and alcohol, and that's like the whole focus.
Yeah, it's just,
the writing is so tired. Like, just stop.
Yeah, we're not trying to create into a big dunk fest, but the reality is, like, people play it and maybe ignore us, and that's okay. But you'll get to that point, and you'll hear those lines of dialogue from La Morale, and you'll be like, dude, this is clearly like a 48-year-old man who fucking tried to write an 18-year-old. It's so obvious, and it's not as good because of it. They're writing their assumptions rather than being in touch with what actually happens and how people of a certain age bracket behave. And that's always been an issue with Ubisoft in general. And on the front of the story, I just think a lot of themes come up short. And the reason I really hit on this game pretty hard was because it was pretty broken for me. And a couple of people asked me about, well, you liked Cyberpunk. And again, I always just document my experience, which I did with Cyberpunk. I said it was buggy, but my experience with Far Cry was way buggier. Ask Paul, I was bitching the whole fucking time I was playing this game. I was complaining. I was like, dude, it broke again. It crashed again.
Mine wasn't as bad as yours. I had bugs, but it's kind of funny. The most bugs I had was when I joined your session for co-op. It's just so weird. Yeah, I don't know, but it was definitely buggy for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't to the level of widespread Cyberpunk buggy, but like mine was even with the day one patch, and it was like, I tested it with the day zero patch they gave us. Then they gave us day one patch, which was like, I think it was like a 30 gigabyte download. I went back in, and it was still like missions were failing. It was still things not working how they should have. It was really, really frustrating.
Those were the worst bugs I had. I had like 2 or 3 where just you would have to interact with someone in a mission, and it just wouldn't work. They would just be quiet. If you like shifted your stance, like if you walked a little bit, they would stop talking, and you'd have to re-go through it. It was really weird, and I didn't like it. I would have to load back or quit my game and play through the whole mission again, and it was, you know, the missions aren't that. I don't want to dunk on it too much, but the missions also. Yeah, so much in this game, man.
Well, yeah,
really
like,
disappointing.
It was a lot of like 3 of these, kill this person. It's funny because the assassination missions were the best, and I'm like, this is weird because I didn't think that the assassination missions in like Assassin's Creed Valhalla were very good, if they existed really at all. Whereas the sandboxy nature of some of the, I don't even say sandboxy, that's too complimentary for what their actual design was, but the amount of tools and ways you could approach it through the arsenal system made it where assassination targets were really, really enjoyable. But again, the game for me was I would like kill an enemy and they would spawn like right in front of me, or they'd spawn right near me. That was very consistent throughout my whole experience, and that is one of those bang your head against the wall kind of bugs because it's in your face all game. Unkempt Talk with a little Kopi love here for the super chat. Kopi earned another super chat by saying open world junk food. It's true. I love intense RPGs, but at times I like shutting my brain off. Love the show. Thank you, Unkempt Talk, for both your super chats. We appreciate you, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that's where this game thrives, but I hope it can go above that a little bit. It doesn't need to be on the level of Divinity Original Sin, thought-provoking and deeply engaging with like 14 layers of systems. Not every game needs to be that, nor am I saying it should be. It just, I think, needs to be a better game at the end of the day. We got a couple other games that we played, though. Would you like to pick up with yours?
Yeah, so I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 2 after the reveal of Sora in Smash. We'll talk about that.
Of course.
I already beat the game earlier this year, and I did all the data battles. I beat Lingering Will, and today I was just grinding for some materials. And I got a little tired of that because it's just grinding. So then I started playing Tales of Arise, which finally is getting interesting for me. After unlocking 4 party members, I'm like, okay, the combat systems are actually sort of growing, I guess. Like I'm not just spamming attacks now. Like I'm actually shifting between different attacks, using different boost attacks with different characters. And you told me this last night. You said once you unlock Law, I also, one thing that does bother me, and it might be a me problem, but I don't know where to go sometimes. I have trouble like figuring out where quests are and stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple of I've noticed that in a few games. Funny enough, Far Cry was actually one of them, but it wasn't a complaint because normally I think it's too waypoint focused in that game, so I didn't mind it. But like I had that in Tales of Arise at time too. I would miss where something was, or they would tell you where to go. But I think it's because of when you bring up the fast travel, they didn't have the icons where your quests were originally, at least when I was reviewing it, or I don't remember that it was there. So I would sometimes have trouble finding out where I needed to go. If it was like an area within an area, that'd be a big issue for me. But you're playing Kingdom Hearts 2. You're going for the platinum.
Oh yeah.
How are we finding that?
So earlier, actually no, not earlier this year. Last year, before COVID, one of the first games I played on my PS4 when I bought it was Kingdom Hearts 1. Because Kingdom Hearts 1 is like without a doubt my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. Matt, you give it way too much hate. You're a piece of shit for that. It's so good. I feel like that's the most grounded Kingdom Hearts, most down to earth.
All right. No, let's pick it up where you left off.
So Kingdom Hearts 2, I got the plat for KH1, and it was pretty damn hard. Kingdom Hearts 2 so far is not as hard. But the thing is, I feel like I'm a little biased because I'm having trouble versus Kingdom Hearts 1 when I played it. That plat was like boom, boom, boom. I had no contentions, no problems, even with the difficult stuff. But Kingdom Hearts 2, I'm like feeling that like grind. I'm feeling when I'm going out and collecting synthesis material. I think it's just because I'm biased. I think I just love Kingdom Hearts 1 way too much. Like I think about going back to it even now with my platinum trophy. Already sunk like 200 plus hours into it.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, I really love that game. I don't know. It's pretty fascinating. Oh yeah, we can't talk about Sora Smash yet. That's not on.
Yeah, we'll get to that
later. Yeah, and RE4. But I'll let you take that away.
Okay. Yeah, so you and I both last night started up Resident Evil 4. I'm doing it for a video for Retro Rebound, and I thought now in October was a perfect time to finally play it. I bought it back in, I want to say July, to play it in October for Halloween, spooky month, all that stuff. But then Brett Medlock of Nintendo Enthusiast, when I launched Retro Rebound, he contacted me. He was like, hey, you should do a video on Resident Evil 4. That'd be a great fit. And I was like, I've actually never played it before. This is my first time playing it. And so he said, we should do a video together. And I thought it got an idea in my head going because there are some retro games that are classics that I have missed out on. And I kind of want to do this matching of the minds of like my first time playing it with the person who's like, I think an expert of that series and having a conversation on it. So I'm 3 acts in. I'm on 3-1. And this game is fucking good. The controls feel like shit, but I get it. It's a 2005 game. I can look past that as someone who's obsessed with KOTOR. But, dude, the atmosphere is perfect for October. Like, I am loving that about this game. And I didn't expect that because I knew it was a little more action heavy. But it also shows, my God, how often they went back in Resident Evil Village to check out for and see what they did at certain points in the game. Like, it is so familiar and designed in that way. It's very shocking. And it also shows how forward-thinking Resident Evil 4 was. But I'm liking the story. The gameplay it's Resident Evil. It's great. Even though, again, the controls don't feel like that solid. It's a learning curve, which is kind of why I like it. And I'm wondering how, when they do that remake that leaked with Resident Evil 4, I wonder how much they're going to reinvent the controls for it. Because I think part of the charm for this game for me, and I don't know if many others agree with this, is kind of learning how to play that game in a way where it's still that modernized Resident Evil. But, like, for example, in Resident Evil 2 Remake, you can aim and move with Leon. I'm just wondering if they're going to do that again here. But we'll see. How are you feeling about the game, though? Because you also started last night.
Yeah, so I didn't get as far as you, and I'm actually going to restart for multiple reasons. But one, I missed a key weapon that you were cooking me up for.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go and buy that weapon in the shop, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to go back anyway. But also because I want to play with my girlfriend. She loved watching me play RE8, so she's going to watch me play RE4. But yeah, when you were saying that like the gameplay systems were dated, I agree, but I think that's sort of the charm, and I also feel as if you can move around and shoot at the same time with RE4, at least in the current environment it has and like the gameplay systems. I feel like it would be broken and it wouldn't feel like the same game. So if they do go back and remake 4, I hope that they change up the map would be the right word a little bit.
Yeah, expand the environments a little bit.
Yes, because having to like stop, aim, shoot, and then kick, because like Leon does this badass roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And you just it gets like a wide arc, so you just get a bunch of people in it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so funny to watch. Some of the dialogue is really funny too. But yeah, it has that atmosphere that I've been looking for in a nice Halloween game. Outlast does it for me. I'm gonna play Silent Hill, which I'm almost positive will do it for me.
Yes.
So Resident Evil 4 has been it's been really awesome to play during October.
Yeah, I played it for 5 hours straight last night. I think like I
you got that far,
dude. I was hooked. That doesn't happen to me as often. Like I'll play for 5 hours in a night, but I'll take a couple of breaks, check my phone, or go get a drink or something. But like I was glued to my seat for this game. It was really grabbing me more than I thought. I've always loved Resident Evil, but what's interesting is I played pretty much every Resident Evil game except 4. It's really weird. I don't know how I avoided it for so long, but
that's very odd.
I don't know. I've played 5 so many times. 6 I've even played multiple times. 7 multiple times. 8 once. I didn't really care for 8 as much. 2 Remake I love. Like I love Resident Evil.
That one's my favorite for sure.
Yeah.
2 Remake.
Absolutely.
So good.
Absolutely. Anyway, we've played a lot of games this week, and we'll have plenty more to talk about next week because I want to play Nickelodeon All-Star some more before I talk about it on the show. So
yeah, you're trying to get me to buy it, which I'm not doing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of that at all. Is that timestamp correct, by the way? You put 6? Is it 16 or 6? Because the first one for the intro was 6:05.
Right. So I put 6:29. Does it say 16 for you?
It says 6. Is it 6 minutes and 29 seconds?
6 hours. It's 6:29 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
I know what you're doing here. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, cool.
We started at 6.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. No, I thought it was. I normally write the minutes and the seconds when. Or hours.
See, I forgot to set a timer again, so that's my fault.
That's fine.
Like with the seconds, I know you told me to last time.
I can do the math, and Felix has been keeping track of our timestamps, so I'm sure Felix will do that again.
Love Felix. Felix is doing a great job.
He is. He absolutely is. He actually saved my bacon last episode because that was the one thing I forgot was in the first hour the show was live. I didn't copy and paste the timestamps. That's why I was like, wait, Paul, let me just make sure you got that right. And I realized there that in the comments Felix had pinned already his timestamps. So let's do some tap-ins now. As tradition dictates, we're going to do 2 to start the show, and then we'll get into the news afterwards. So let's pull in Lactose the Intolerant.
Okay.
Hello, Lactose. Can you hear us?
Hi. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Wow. We have some extras.
Yeah.
Oh, well, people will either be standing over there or getting in, and they'll see people waiting. They'll know it's time.
Lactose, can you hear us?
Woo!
I don't think you can hear us.
Uh-oh.
This is actually your first. Here, disconnect him.
Wow.
Disconnect him.
Yeah, here.
Have to find a cop.
That's actually kind of hilarious.
Lactose had his family on the
car. That's actually mad fucking funny.
Oh my god, poor guy. Oh well, okay. So we'll bring in
do natural calamity. Let's do natural. Calamity.
Okay.
Because natural always writes in. We got to get him in here. Natural, can you can you hear us?
Natural.
Let's see here.
Right now he's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
Be away.
He might be away. But
all right, we'll move.
Yeah, we can move him.
I'll put him back in. Actually, yeah, move him back into the waiting room, and we'll bring in Sean Mason. Always a safe bet. You know Sean's gonna do that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, Sean's been the starter for 2 episodes. So I was like, all right. I was like, we'll bring someone else in. Why not? Sean, hello, welcome.
Hey, Sean.
Dude, no way.
Oh man, the tap-ins are not. Oh,
why does everyone walk away? Why do you guys walk away when we're trying to do our fucking show? All right.
How are you?
Oh, hi.
Hey.
How's it going? I was just talking smack, Sean.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Sean, I got to be honest with you. We tried 2 people before you to get them in first before pulling you in because we were like, Sean started off the show. Do we want to make this a tradition or do we want to give other people a chance? We tried to. One, we got family time. The other time, that person was not there. So welcome. You're our first caller 3 weeks in a row.
Well, I appreciate being here. I love talking to you guys. I love the show. I love what you guys did last week with the format and everything. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Sean, what story do you have for us this week?
All right. So this week I received probably the most outrageous lie I've ever been told in my life.
Oh.
So yesterday, 3rd period, we have this kid. He kind of likes to wander around the school. So he goes to the bathroom. And we have a rule at our school where only one kid is allowed to leave at a time for the room. About 15 minutes go by, and I'm like, all right, where is he? And then kids start asking, hey, can I use the bathroom? Can I use the bathroom? The queue's about 7 deep now. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. 30 minutes go by. I finally call the office. I'm like, hey, we'll call him John. John is, he's missing. Where is he? They're like, oh, I don't know. Hang on. We'll check the cameras. I'm like, he's supposed to be in the bathroom. So as I am about to hang up, the assistant principal tells me, oh, we have him on the cameras. He's been wandering around the halls for 30 minutes. He hasn't even gone into a restroom. And I'm like, all right. Whatever. He comes in. The second I hang up the phone, he comes in. I go, hey, John, where you been? What's going on? And he goes, Mr. Mason, he says this in front of everyone, by the way. Mr. Mason, I've had really, really bad stomach problems. And it was so bad, like the office knows about it, the nurse knows about it, it's documented.
Oh, he brought everyone into this. Oh, no.
Wow.
And it was so bad, Mr. Mason, that I couldn't make it to the nurse's office, and I had really, really bad diarrhea, and I just had to go.
Oh, no.
And I was in the room, I was in the toilet for 30 minutes, and I go, all right, I go, you do know that we have cameras in the school, right? He goes, yeah, I know, but Mr. Mason, I'm telling you, I was in the bathroom. I had really bad diarrhea.
He doubled down.
And I go, it's funny because I was just on the phone with the assistant principal. And she says she saw you on the cameras walking around for 30 minutes. And all of a sudden his face just gets bright red. He puts his head down. Everyone starts laughing in the room. And I go, go sit down, bud.
Sit down, bud. Just a little disrespect while you're at it.
And I go, here's a little tip, guys. When I ask you guys a question, 99% of the time, I already know the answer. So just tell the truth. Like I wouldn't even be mad.
Yeah.
Like I could not believe that instead of just telling me, "Oh, I was wandering around," or he just made something else up, he goes in front of everyone, "Oh, I had diarrhea. I have all these medical problems."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I've never heard of the most outrageous. Like, that's so outrageous to me. And like he embarrassed himself.
Because he thought you wouldn't know.
Yeah. So my question for you guys is, what is the most outrageous lie someone has ever told you? Where you like already knew they were lying and you're just like, oh, I cannot believe they're doing this.
Oh.
Wow. I can think of like a few, but I'm gonna have to pick mine. So I'll let you go first, Matt.
Yeah, that's tough.
I've people come to me with the dumbest, like.
Yeah, like in this I guess every day someone lies to me just because I'm typically told like news, like this is coming now, and or this is a scoop I've got for you, and you know you can just tell they're full of shit. So I get a lot of that. The other, weekly dosage of full of shit I get is when like people need something from me and they pretend to be my boy for a week, and then they get what they want, and then they move on with their lives, and I'm like, all right, you're a sad sack of shit, clearly. It's tough because I try not, you know what? I got a story. I had a best friend growing up who was a compulsive liar. He just lied about everything big and small. It made no sense after a certain point in time. So I don't know if I have a definitive lie, but I had a friend who he doesn't lie anymore, but a stretch from middle school to college, it just became this joke in our group that he was exaggerating or lying about everything. From like, what did you have to eat? You'd be like, oh, pizza. He had burgers. And we're like, why did you fucking lie about that? Like, that's the thing. It was as annoying as someone who would lie to you right to your face about something you knew was untrue. And it came to the point where it's like, you couldn't believe anything he said because he was constantly lying. And that's the one that always stuck out to me, was a lie on that level. I don't know if I've had someone lie to me about like having diarrhea to save face from just walking around a school. That's a special type of lie. But that's the one I can think of is growing up with a friend who was a compulsive liar, and like we just called full of shit on everything. That's what I.
I've had like lots of friends and even family members who are just compulsive liars that lie about things to my face when I'll prove evidence that they're not telling the truth, and they'll still like double, triple down on their lies, to a point of denial. I have a friend, Matt, it's also your friend, who just loves to lie. I don't know if this is the same one you're talking about.
No, this is a different friend.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, this is a different friend.
And recently we were like in a Discord call with this friend, and we were trying to get him to do something, something that he very much didn't want to do. So he eventually agreed to it, and then he went to the bathroom, and then he left the call, and then the next day he said he got water and fell asleep.
Yeah,
it was the weirdest thing, and it's like you can hear him smiling when he lies.
Yeah,
like all the time.
He knows he's
so
lying.
He knows he's lying, and it's almost like a joke, but it's also like, dude, just shut up. just tell the truth. So it's kind of that same situation as Matt's old friend.
Yeah.
Where like you just don't believe most of the things that they're saying.
Yeah. I just like to befriend liars. Clearly, that's all.
Yeah. Matt has a circle of liars in his friend group.
Of course,
me being one of them.
Yes. Anyway, those are our answers, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. We've actually, I don't want to take too much of your time. We've actually noticed this year a lot of our teachers have noticed that the kids in the 7th grade this year are like notorious liars. Like they try to get away with everything, and like when you call them out on it, it's like, we know you're lying. They just like they can't admit it. Like they just put their head down and like that like shameful look they give.
Do you think that's like a product of COVID in a weird way? The reason I ask is, obviously when things went digital for a while, you have to wonder if like they could get away with stuff a little easier, and they forgot when you lie to someone's face what that's actually like and how you have to own up to it.
I think so. We've noticed that they lack like a lot of like social cues and social awareness. Like, and I attribute a lot of that to COVID. Yeah. I know it's really sad because we were talking about it. The last actual full school year my kids had, like full school year, was 4th grade. Because when they were
wild.
When they were in 5th grade, everything got cut short in March and they didn't return. And then last year, we were back in school, but it was, some kids were fully remote. They haven't had a normal school year since 4th grade. So it's like,
that jeopardizes your ability to socialize for sure.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like the transition to middle school, you're taking 6 classes, at least where I was. You go from one class to like a bunch. It must be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 7 periods a day.
Yeah.
Like, I know they were in middle school last year in 6th grade, but like I said, it wasn't like a real, like quote unquote real year last year. So it's almost like I don't know, like I find myself saying all the time, guys, we need to act like we're in middle school, not in elementary school anymore. And like I never thought that I'd have to say that as a 7th grade teacher because they had it last year in 6th grade, but it's really really bizarre. But yeah, I just want to say thanks again to guys for taking my call, though. I really appreciate it.
Of course, Sean. And we appreciate you always being ready for the call. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest.
All right. Thank you.
See you, Sean.
All right. Bye, guys.
Take it easy.
See you.
All right. Let's
we'll try Forged Horizons.
Yeah, we'll try Forged Horizons because Natural we can try to pull in afterwards if that doesn't work.
Hello, Forged Horizons.
Can you hear us?
Hello. Let me mute the stream real quick.
There we go.
Nice and quick.
All right. So my main question would be, in a couple of days, I think it's October 12th, they are doing a Resident Evil 4 VR port for, I think it's exclusively on Quest 2.
Yep.
So do you actually have a Quest 2 that you could
I have a
play
Rift
that
S.
on?
I do not have a Quest 2. I was interested in
I don't have one either.
It is a bit kind of thrilling, I guess, seeing like one of my favorite games of all time become like a massive VR experience.
Right.
So being able to be inside of Leon's shoes, I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's exciting.
But so on the note of remakes, and I want you to stay away from anything that you would normally touch, like JRPGs or platformers. I'm talking about like, I don't know, 360 era, PS3 era games. Stuff like from those early generations. What would you say needs a remake the most? Or at least a re-release, like something that hasn't been released on current gen consoles that's been limited to or relegated to exclusively like the PS3 or
Sly Cooper.
PS2.
I win. There you go.
That was going to be my pick. That's funny because like KOTOR already exists. Sly Cooper was going to be the one I chose. Sly 1 specifically, just to see if they could do what Destroy All Humans did, where they kind of took like mechanics from 2 and brought them back into the first game. I would like to see them just take mechanics from 2, 3, and 4 and bring them back into the first game and just make like this ultimate Sly remake. That'd be 100% be my pick too. I agree with Kopi.
Sly, and since that's Matt's pick, I'll put another one in there, Ape Escape. I want to see some Ape Escape on PlayStation 5. Please give us Ape Escape 4. Give us Ape Escape 1, 2, 3 Trilogy. I don't care. I want it. There's a fan base out there for it, okay? And if there isn't, there's going to be when it comes out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's funny because when I saw it, I didn't pay attention to it, but when I saw it, you were streaming it on Discord, and I was like, yo, this actually looks really fun. So
yeah, it's a really fun like platformer / collectathon type deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, those would be our answers. Horizon.
All right. Well, my personal pick would be Metal Gear Solid 4 because that will never escape PlayStation 3, and it makes me incredibly sad.
Yeah,
I've never played it, so if it did get a remake, I'd be on that.
Yeah, I know we were talking about it on the Halo stream that Resident Evil. Or not Resident Evil, sorry. Metal Gear Solid 4 is like notorious for all the cutscenes it has. So I'd love to just see what they do with the remake on level of like, hey, let's add a little bit more gameplay or something like that. I'd be keen to see what they do with it, if anything at all.
Well, that's pretty much all I got.
All right.
I didn't really come in with a set question, so I got what I was after.
We appreciate it. Thank you for the tech advice, Forged Horizons, and we'll hopefully talk to you in the next episode. All right, let's get into the news now. Here we go. Topic number 1, Xbox's 20th anniversary, Paul. They announced a new headset and a new controller. Both are $70. And I wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of the audience is curious of our thoughts on, hey, are they going to do more? Are they going to just stick with this? What kind of celebration could we expect? What do we think about this? And we can talk about our history with Xbox. So I want to put it in your hands. Where do you want to begin with this? Whether it be general thoughts on their announcement and the anniversary itself, where you hope they go. Take it off. Take it off. I said that sounded creepy, didn't it? Take it away is what I was trying to say.
You're gonna get an arrest warrant after the show. Yeah, you're lucky I'm 20 years old. I don't know, the controller, I kind of dig it. I think you said you didn't like it, right? You don't really care for it.
It's just, well, I could go on why I don't care about limited controllers, but ultimately I was like, hey, they should have done something in my eyes that was more of a nostalgic celebration. So I thought about taking the Duke controller or something along those lines and plugging that in as the celebration. But that's my own personal desires. I just don't like collectible controllers all that often because I'm looking at the screen. I would like Joy-Cons or like a collectible handheld, but other than that, not really.
See, for me, I like it because I have like, so for example, I have the PS5 charging stand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I can lift it. Let me see. And it just sits on my desk, and it just looks so cool, like having both my controllers there. So to me, it's sort of like a display thing, and I use them both. But I can totally understand it for someone who just sort of like chucks their controller to on their I don't know, side piece or whatever, like to the side of the couch.
Yeah.
So, but the headset, I think it looks kind of weird. But I do like the controller. I wish they were doing more. I'm assuming maybe we'll get more announcements. Maybe not. It's a pretty big deal. 20 years, you know.
Yeah.
We probably both have some interesting history with Xbox to talk about.
Yeah, you said you had an interesting story with the 360 being your first console, if you want to get into it.
Yeah, so the first time I ever laid hands on a Xbox 360 controller was at my neighbor's house. I lived on this really long road in my subdivision, and my neighbor had an Xbox 360 and a PS3. He's like one of those kids you always want to go to his house. He had the PS3 in the living room, and his older brother had the 360 in his bedroom. But when I first met him and I first started going over to his house, they didn't have the 360 because his brother suffered from the red ring of death.
Oh,
So
no.
he sent in his 360 to Microsoft to get a replacement. And then one of the days when I was over at his house, they got mail, and his mom came in and was like, it came, and he was like super excited. You know, he
Right.
pulled it out of the box and plugged it back in, and we all ran to his room. And that's, you know, that was like my first introduction to the 360. I played Grand Theft Auto 4, Halo 3, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was another one. One of my first like 360 games. And after that, you know, my poor mom, God bless her, all she got was me begging for a console. It got worse when I went to my grandfather's house. He lived up in Georgia, and he had a 360 as well. And he introduced me to Fallout 3.
Oh,
So
yeah.
from that point on, I was like, yeah, I need to get one of these consoles. So one day when I was with my other grandparents, my grandma, she had these really nice neighbors. I don't know why they liked me so much. They were just really nice. And for my birthday, they got me an Xbox 360, which was really cool. So
Are these the same?
yeah.
Is this the same grandparents friends with the car?
No,
as well? Is this a different set of
what-
friends
friends of the car.
with the that helped with the car that you got, or is that a different set of friends?
Oh no, this is like I just have like all kinds of family members.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I was like, this would make a lot more sense now.
No, this is like different. This is another neighbor, friend, people of my grandparents, and they got me a 360, and it was so fun. The first game I got was Halo 3, and I was addicted. Oh my god, my homework grades probably suffered. But I had a PS2 up until that point, and that's when my whole life changed.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's my story.
I had the PS2 up until like close to 2009. I remember, and I was a super late adopter. Yeah, because I didn't care. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I was really happy with my old systems. I think a lot of people, it's probably changed nowadays, but I think a lot of people forget that if you're not in the content creation space, not how little it matters, but how patient some people can be, and how we're a group of enthusiasts, like people listening to this show live right now, people listening even afterwards, like those are enthusiasts who want to know the latest about gaming. Not everyone's like that. And while I don't think everyone's going to sit around for 2 years, that was a lot more common back then. But yeah, for me, it was, I went over a buddy's house and I played Samurai Warriors 2 Empires. No, wait, that was PS2. It was Samurai Warriors 4, I want to say, on the 360. It was one of those games. And that game really like got me excited. And then I played BioShock, the first BioShock, and that's when I went, oh, okay.
Did you play BioShock before or after you played Fallout 3?
I played BioShock after Fallout 3. Yeah.
So what were you playing it on before, your PS3?
I played it on at a friend's house on the 360.
Okay.
And then when I got my 360, the first games I got were Mass Effect 1. I got
that's a good one.
Kung Fu Panda because it came with it. Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I played that for about an hour. Then we found out, funny enough, Brian T. Delaney, who's the main voice of Fallout 4, was in that game. And he was
Was
like,
he really?
yeah, he was really nervous for his audition. That was something he told us in our interview, and I thought that was hilarious. But yeah,
That's so wild.
I got that game, and I got Call of Duty World at War. And the next game I eventually got after that was Prototype, because oh my God, man, fucking love Prototype. And Resident Evil 5. I was a big co-op guy. Resident Evil 5 was a game I replayed a sickening amount. Funny enough, we're talking about Resident Evil 4 this whole time, but Resident Evil 5 is probably my most played Resident Evil game, I gotta admit. I fucking love Resident Evil 5. But yeah, I was a late adopter to it. And so with that history there, I think it's good to establish, because I think everyone's got their own story to tell about Xbox, PlayStation, wherever you've played a lot. And I'm thinking that the best way to go about this, we had a cool write-in here from Adam Thim, who said, wouldn't it be fun if for the 20th, Xbox added achievements to OG Xbox games? And that's where everyone's head goes. It's not just specifically achievements. I think it's a really good idea. But we have a lot of people who want them to do something with the 360 games or with the original Xbox games, where I feel like that's a very fair expectation to have. I feel like it's that people are well within reason to say, like, oh, we should probably expect, like, finally they add new games to back compat library, or they add FPS boost to the already established back compat library. Like, something back compat has to shift, because that speaks to history, right? That speaks to anniversary. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I remember one game that I really wanted to be backwards compatible on the original Xbox, or back on Xbox One, when they added backwards compatibility. I really wanted this game called Pac-Man World 2 to be backwards compatible, and it never was on the list for whatever reason. I don't know if there's licensing problems with it or what, but they should just make, like, they should do their best to make the whole library backwards compatible. I'm not saying for the anniversary, but just in general. Like, I'm pretty sure the entire Xbox 360 library is backwards compatible for the Xbox One and Series X family of consoles, right? So why haven't they done the original Xbox yet? They probably don't see demand for it, but
yeah, I think that's
cool.
Partially it, because there are a lot of games, believe it or not, missing from the 360 list, like a ton of them. And it's really just a matter of, I think it's cool to them that they can do it, and I know they could do more. What I believe happens, though, is they probably look at how many people are playing Xbox One games, and how right now, between FPS boost and Game Pass, you can justify getting a lot more people to buy your console in a time where, like, releases are a little bit more scarce for Xbox. Next gen only releases at that, which are designed to be like, hey, you can only get this experience here. Like, this is your convincing point to buy it. Where I don't know if bringing a 360 game up to snuff is going to do that for them as much as it would do it for me. I think it's in addition to already folks who have adopted the Series X or the Series S, rather than something that would bring more in. So I do wonder how they're going to do all of this, because I think the achievement idea is really good. I think, again, a dump into the Game Pass library is always kind of expected with Xbox. It's like with every announcement they make, they're like, by the way, here we go, this is also in Game Pass. So if they were to announce these OG Xbox games coming to backwards compatible or compatibility list, then maybe they're added to Game Pass too. I don't know. What I really want to talk about was the idea that I think there's going to be more, right? I don't think they're just going to do the headset. I don't think they're just going to do the controller, especially with the way they announced it. It's October 8th as we record this podcast. That's the beginning of the month, and the anniversary isn't until November 15th. So there's certainly...
Oh, dude, they have to have stuff planned then.
Yeah, right?
I am almost positive then. For some reason, I thought it was a little earlier, that they've got something planned, because they wouldn't release or announce it so early on unless they wanted pre-orders.
Yeah, right.
The controllers, and I wonder what though.
Yeah, I mean, you could go on all day on what they're gonna do. Quite honestly,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good guesses out there, but I'd put my money on something involving back compat. Not because I've heard that specifically, but I feel pretty confident. And there's some omissions, like Crystar actually just mentioned this in chat, and I want to throw it out there because this is one of the more notable ones. Is Max Payne 3 is not in back compat.
Wow.
And that's a perfect example of a game that you just look at. And I remember assuming at one point that was back compat. That's not. There's so many games that you'd be surprised are missing, because many folks assume it's already there, like guaranteed hits. And Xbox has talked about this a little bit. They've mentioned it's about licensing. There's a lot of hoops to jump through that people don't consider, especially with like very old games. There's a lot to do there. I look at something like Death Row. Death Row is probably one of my favorite original Xbox games. It's this sports fighting hybrid. Yeah, I streamed that before, and that was hilarious. But yeah, I don't think he can even unmute. Yeah, I was going to say he's fine.
I just moved him out.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, that game is one that I don't see getting put into back compat because Ubisoft published it, a developer that made it's now like defunct. It's just sort of resting in limbo. There's probably so much legality surrounding it. And I wonder how many companies have ever gone just like, fuck it. Like, that company's dead anyway. Like, who's going to sue us now? Like, let's just grab it. I wonder if that's ever possible. Like, I know it sounds ridiculously carefree, and it is. But I just do wonder if Xbox would ever consider that for some of these really dead games. Just be like, whatever. Who's going to sue us now? No one's got this.
I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine there are some games that, you know, the companies might not even be around anymore that made them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's got to be at least one game out there because, you know, these companies dissolve. Yeah, so
especially with the
it's
original
kind of weird.
Xbox.
I wonder how they handle that. Like, does the license just go up for grabs? I guess someone might have purchased it.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's funny is, I remember like Kingdoms of Amalur was a long considered impossible to touch franchise because you had Big 13 run by Kurt Schilling. It got shut down. You had the state of Rhode Island involved with that and getting that game off the ground, getting that studio off the ground. You had EA in there. Then THQ Nordic somehow, through a fucking stroke of magic, extracts that license and manages to get that game made, Re-Reckoning. It's funny, though, because I know EA was involved in some way, shape, or form because I was told by someone who works at THQ Nordic that the reason they didn't do free upgrades for Kingdoms of Amalur, let's say you owned that and you had to buy Re-Reckoning, the reason they made a $20 upgrade was because EA was involved. So you can thank them for that. Yeah, they were. That was the reason behind that, and it's unfortunate. But I mean, if that's the price they had to pay to get the game out and then make sure that they could do the expansion whenever they did. But there's just the point of that whole story is really there have been IP that have been said are untouchable. And I'm always in the mindset, especially the games industry, if there's a will, there's a way. So there are people who can figure it out if they really wanted to.
Yeah. If the demand is there, then it can happen.
Absolutely.
Because that just means money in someone's pockets and makes people happy.
That's exactly it, right?
It does.
It's a sad reality.
Game Pass subscribers or Xbox Gold or whatever. And then them throwing cash at whatever company or license owner of a dead company.
Yeah, it's funny. Data Late actually just asked about the Amalur and if there's been any word on the expansion. And there hasn't been. I don't know what they're doing with it, if they decide to make a sequel or if they're actually just still tinkering away on it. But by the way, for those who forgot, that was supposed to be out at the beginning of 2021. And it's now almost the end of 2021. So, yeah, not looking too hot for Amalur's expansion, whatever it may be. I'm surprised they were even adding content to that. They may have actually not sold it as well as they thought and hope people will forget about it because they didn't mention it even. I thought when they did the THQ Nordic showcase, that made a lot of sense. That seemed a pretty obvious pick. But anyway, that's all off topic.
So wild card question here for you.
Sure.
You said what you think is going to happen, but what would be something that you know won't happen, but you wanted it to for the anniversary? Like your dream situation or whatever Xbox or Microsoft does.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm thinking I would probably imagine like I not joked about this. I talked about this in a video. Resolution boost is what I called it. Like the idea of upscaling the resolution of a game where making Morrowind like this 4K 16:9 image that you could play on widescreen and just like trademarking this new technique and doing that for old games. To me, that's like I doubt they'll ever do that. It's very idealistic, but my God, but I love that they did that because then you'd like modernize classics without jeopardizing them, like having people go in under the hood and changing how games feel, how they play. and taking it a step too far. Just you'd invalidate the folks who try to sell you, kind of like what Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning did, to stay on topic with that. Like, just they kind of repackaged the game, brushed it up a little bit, not much new content was added, and they sold it to people for full price just because it was a re-release. And I think those days should start to be put behind us. There are ports that I'll be guilty of buying, like KOTOR on Switch for sure. I'll be all over that. But beyond that, it's really tough to imagine they would do something like this, but if they could, that'd be great, because it would cancel out what I think is getting to be a tiresome business practice. I don't mind remasters if you're going to add mechanics like Replicant. I don't mind remakes especially, but I think ports that are being sold, it's work, so people can pay for it, but if it's an already existing product that can be upgraded internally, like Xbox upgrading their own portfolio of games, I think that would be awesome to see. But what would your pick be? Because you're the one who posed the question, so maybe you had an answer in mind already.
So last week when we got towards the end of the podcast, someone asked a question, like a personal question, and I didn't really know what to say, but I did throw an answer out about like loving the PS2 boot up and sort of the sound effects. So and then I started thinking about PS4 and how they had themes. So I would love like if Xbox released like a theme pack for the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, and even actually no, the Xbox One is pretty similar to the Series X in terms of UI at least.
Yeah.
Maybe
tiles.
not when it launched though, but so I would love, and this won't happen because they don't even have like a system in place for this, but I would love if they add like a theme pack where you could hear like the sound effects of opening a menu on the Xbox Series X. I would use the 360 one because like that's my nostalgia boost right there.
Yeah.
The sound effects, even the menus, but that's not going to happen. I would love it though.
Because they have the original, you've seen it when I've streamed it on Discord, but like they have the original Xbox kind of floating nuclear core, whatever the hell it actually is. I actually don't know what that is. Someone could probably let me know in chat. But that original Xbox thing is one of the themes they have as a background. But like if you could start up your Xbox and have it be like
exactly like a step further.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Like PS4 has a PlayStation 2 theme that does that. When you boot it up, it has like the whooshoo.
I love that.
I can't replicate it, but and then obviously the sound effects are the exact same. And I just want that, man. Like, let me go back. Go back.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's the thing. It's like you don't want to live in nostalgia, but if I could like open up a modern
healthy
game
dosage.
with like a little dosage of it before playing like Tales of Arise or something, like I think that's a great balance to have. But
dude, especially like this is random, but if you go to like Octopath, which is kind of like a retro game, but not really.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of taps into that.
There's a feel.
You get the whole. Yeah, you get like the whole shebang there.
Yeah, it's an atmosphere. It's important. It matters. Well, anyway, that's enough on that. Let's move on to the one that I know you're itching to talk about.
Dude.
Let's talk about Sora In Smash. It finally happened. My guess was Master Chief for a while. They put that one. Then I was like, it's got to be Doom Guy. They made him a fucking me. Of course they did.
I was laughing so hard when I saw that because I knew you were pissed off.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, you got to be. I love Sora, by the way, just so before anyone assumes. But I was so pissed when I saw Doom Guy was a me. I was like, why'd you disrespect him like that, man? Anyway, I know you were stoked about this. Let's hear your thoughts.
Dude, I'm telling you, so you'll laugh at me when I say something special, but like that reveal was special. Sora floating out of the thing and flying around the Smash. It comes full circle because like the first reveal for Ultimate was in that same room with the Inkling. So it's just full circle. And then
I didn't put that together. Interesting.
Yeah. And I love Kingdom Hearts 1. I went on a little rant earlier. And this is really heavily tailored to Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora and just the game in general. All the music is from Kingdom Hearts 1 except for one track, which is the dearly beloved Swing version. But that is from Melody of Memories, which you probably haven't played because we haven't. But for the most part, everything is from Kingdom Hearts 1. Even the map is Hollow Bastion, which I thought it was kind of weird. I don't know if you found that weird.
I did. I did. Yeah.
I wonder what the reason is. Do you think it's Disney?
Yeah.
Or
I feel like that's the most, when you really think about it, it's got to be the most like Kingdom Hearts stage, right? I mean, you could have done the world
I'd say
that
Destiny
never was.
Islands.
Yes, that's
No.
actually, that's
Destiny
actually a way
Islands
better
is in
answer.
all three games. You don't go to it in 2. You don't really go to it in 3 until the end. But yeah, I feel like that's like the Kingdom Hearts world. I was fully expecting it to be that because you have like that bridge, you know, and at the end where you fight Riku at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
One, like that could have literally been the stage. I don't know. I found that weird.
I think Dream Drop Distance starts on Destiny Islands too, right?
I don't know. I that's what I'm gonna get to this year.
Oh, you haven't played that?
Yeah.
See, no wonder you love Kingdom Hearts 1. Wait till you play the ending of that game.
Wait, why? Oh, they
do something so fucking stupid.
Told me.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I get it.
Dude, I'm not gonna let that ruin my love for the first game. Okay.
Oh,
I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't wait till like episode 8 when we're sitting down talking about it.
I won't. It's untouchable. My love for that game is like it's. I'll stand in front of it with a shield. It's like your KOTOR.
Yeah, I was gonna say I understand. That's what I was thinking of in my head. Yeah,
What are your thoughts on it?
I love Sora. I love Kingdom Hearts. I don't love it as much as I used to because I haven't played it in so long. I think I've lost my love for it. Where if I maybe went back, I would. But just it's not even like it's because it's so nonsensical. It pisses me off. But there's just choices. Like I mentioned, like Dream Drop Distance for me when I beat that game, I was like, what are you guys doing? I don't get this. Like it's just stupid at times. But I love that it's just a dumb thing with Disney and Final Fantasy that almost shouldn't exist, but it does, and it's really successful. Kind of reminds me of how I felt about Nier Automata. It's a feel-good kind of success where it's like, this shouldn't be doing as well, but fuck it, it is because people like fun things, and they go for fun things, and that's all there is to it. So there wasn't a better way to cap off Smash Ultimate than to bring Sora in my eyes. I think that was the best way to handle that was to give the fans who, you know, when there were polls done, Twitter was trending with Sora on multiple occasions, by the way, just
like every day before the reveal,
tens of thousands of tweets, by the way, not even like a little local trending of like 3,000 tweets here, like tens of thousands of people tweeting about it, wanting it. It was very much a vocal thing. And I'm happy that they just went with the easy pick, right? I think of like Byleth as that galaxy brain, like our own IP. You know, it's like we're gonna add you in. There was just some weird picks like Terry Bogard, which I think is an iconic character in a manner of speaking, but definitely not like the Smash hype type of iconic. And I felt like there were more obvious picks to make before that, like Doom Guy, like Chief. But I digress.
Chief would have been perfect. I'm kind of sad about that.
I have a mindset because like some people are like, is this the final Smash? I want to know your thoughts on it, but I don't think it is. I don't know why people are treating it as it is.
Why would it be?
No. This is going to be the biggest Smash in the terms of character roster. They're not going to go above it.
Well, I don't know. For me, the weird thing is like to make this Smash like the Smash Ultimate as it's called, they brought in every single character that's ever been in the series. Are they going to be able to do that in future games?
Yeah, I wonder about that. That was probably the biggest challenge with that game, right? Was, for example, getting even Solid Snake back. But I think that's why I read an interview. I think that's why Sakurai called it Ultimate, like because it was
it's the Ultimate Smash.
Yeah, the Ultimate Smash. He wanted everyone in there. I think it was supposed to be it's rumored to be a send-off game. So
in my opinion, like they should just turn this into like the last one, but then just keep building on it. I don't know if you probably disagree, but
no, I'm not against it. It's the only game I can think of that's multiple years old outside of Smite that I come back to and play for new editions of content. And I think the install base is so large. It's one of those must-buy Switch games. Like when you buy a Switch, the attachment rate for Smash is incredibly high. Where I'm with you. I just think there's such a high ceiling still, which is crazy to say with everyone they've got there. But I do also respect that if they're going to stop and make something, like I'd be really keen, and I know no one would agree with me on this, but I'd be really keen on the idea of them making a new Smash and not doing the original 8. Like just firing it up and starting with like a new cast of characters and building Smash with a new identity effectively. Like I think that'd be cool because like I would, instead of trying to top what Ultimate did, you might have to do something different. Is how I look at it, because Ultimate is Smash at its strongest in a lot of ways because not only does it play well, it's sound competitively, but it's got every fucking character. So I think you've just got to be different, not better. But what do you think about that? Because I know you're much more of a Smash aficionado than myself.
I'm really not.
You got more hours than me, so.
Well, yeah, I love Smash Ultimate, but it's the only Smash game I've played. I'm by far no expert, or you know, I don't have a.
I'll take the crown off your head then. It's mine now.
But yeah, you can have it back. I know you have I think what is it, Brawl sitting in a case somewhere with your 64.
I have.
Is that what's on
I
it?
have Melee. I have Melee. Physical,
Melee. Okay,
yeah.
I can't see. I don't even know which one is on the.
Brawl's on the Wii. I'm teaching you. And then
60.
Yeah, 64 is Super Smash Bros. I fucking love 64.
Oh, and then Melee is the GameCube.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. See, there you go.
See, I love this though. This is why this show. It's what's great is I'm finally the older one in the show, right? I'm in 2 shows. I Hammer a podcast with Carrick where he was double my age, and then Cog is I think like 15 years older than me. So I'm always the young guy being taught. I like this. I like this. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
Dude, my gaming like expertise is so like. There's so much stuff I haven't played. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm a young guy. You know, you're on your way. You're almost 30 soon.
Okay,
that's a joke. That's a joke, guys. Don't worry. So
all the 30-year-olds just like head snapped. They're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, someone had the kids in the show earlier. Who was it?
Yeah, that was lactose. That was lactose. That's gonna be me in like 5 years. Fuck. Shut up, Johnny. I'm doing a fucking podcast. God damn it.
Yeah, that's your first kid name, Johnny.
Fuck no. I've talked to Laley about Bastila if that ever happened.
Karth. Bastila, dude.
But
you want a kid to get bullied?
Yeah, that's the thing. She literally said that to me. I'm like, it's a fucking cool name. She's like, she would get made fun of immediately. I'm like, can we name the dog? Kid names. Can we get a woman dog? She's like, no. I'm like, what the fuck? I just want to name someone Bastila. I named my dog Revan. I need to complete that.
Dude, just get your own female dog, a cat. Bastila's a good cat's name.
Yeah, I don't like cats though.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
No.
That explains a lot about who you are. Okay,
what does that mean?
Don't worry about it. Let's get back into Sora. I'm derailing us a little bit.
All right.
You asked me a question and I forgot. Oh, about Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like with a roster this huge, and so many characters, why would you make another game that ultimately is just gonna have less characters in it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate the idea of booting up the next Smash and not having...
It has like 50.
Isabelle. Right. Yeah, it's just weird. That's what's so cool about Ultimate. And if it's the final game, just keep supporting it. I'm not saying they need to do DLC every year like they have or whatever, but I don't know if it's who makes that decision. I'm assuming Nintendo's at the top, and they're like, this is what's going on.
One thing I don't think a lot of people think about with Nintendo games is with this new step forward they're going to make eventually, it's inevitable, like a 4K Switch of some kind, right? Like you think that's coming. And I wonder, like, are we going to see Nintendo do what Xbox and PlayStation done? Like, here's the 4K update for Smash Ultimate. Is that what they're going to do next? Or are they saving? Because, like, if you look at each Smash game, like, they're by generations, right? Like, you had Smash 64, Smash GameCube, Wii. You had the 3DS, Wii U. Like, each generation is a new Smash game. And I'm like, do they wait for the new Switch revision to do a Smash game? Or is that Switch revision just going to be a Smash update? I'm wondering, and that's why I was of the mindset of when they said, I think it was our first week or our second week, we were talking about like Nintendo going like, we're not working on a new Switch right now. And I'm like, it's probably because it's not fucking called the Switch. Like I'm so hard on that idea. Like there's no way.
I don't believe that. There's so much money in the Switch. People just buy consoles, those things. It's like the 3DS, money making console. Just throw a new model out there, you'll make money. So I don't think so, but I respect your galaxy brain take.
Hell yeah. We have a quick super chat from Cade Forever. What would have been better is if Sakurai came out and said we are supporting the game for another year. It's a shame that no PlayStation mascot characters made it. Ratchet and Clank should be there. I feel like the reason they're doing that is there are rumors, and have been for a while, that All-Star Battle Royale, PlayStation's All-Star Battle Royale, I think is what it's called. That is reportedly in development. Like it's been rumored since before the PS5 came out. And I just feel like with the popularity of Smash, and now you're seeing Nickelodeon All-Stars, which is a solid game, with not that much of a budget, doing well. And it's like, you got to imagine at this point, like, people are taking note. Like, Xbox is talking about bringing back Killer Instinct, and I'm like, why don't you guys go make your own fucking Smash game? Like, clearly people love roster crossovers, celebrating everything from your brand. Look at how Nintendo's done, where it's actually a boost to your game sales when you put your character in their game. Like, look at what happened with Persona. That took off after it got added into Smash.
I support that, but I don't want them to make Smash games as in the same format like Nickelodeon All Star. Is it Nickelodeon All Stars?
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
Nick All Stars Brawl.
Like, I don't want to play Smash on another with like in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they've mastered the formula.
Yeah,
maybe
they'll always
maybe
be
that's
copycats.
maybe that's like gatekeeping of me. I like the idea of doing like crossovers with like characters and games and stuff, but I don't want it to be like the Brawl beat 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see other formats of fighting games. I think that'd be cooler.
Yeah.
From other companies like Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox having their own Smash would be cool.
No, it's a good point because I think like Killer Instinct touched on that a little bit. We saw them add the Arbiter in. They added, I think.
They did that?
Yeah, they added Arbiter and Killer Instinct.
That's awesome.
They added someone from Battletoads. I always forget which Battletoad it was. Like they did mess around with that, and I thought that was really cool. And maybe they do. I mean, that's the thing. Xbox or PlayStation could take it a step further. Instead of making a Smash clone, make like a Tekken style game that is effectively a Smash Bros game. That takes a lot more assets and resources. Of course it does. But I mean, that would separate the pack, kind of like what you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but going back to what Cade said, that's what I'm saying. I want to see this game get supported more. I don't think that it's going away anytime soon. People clearly love it.
Mm-hmm.
The hype for Sora was crazy. I don't know why Nintendo is like. I don't know if it's Sakurai. I mean, the guy deserves a rest for sure. Poor man.
Sure.
He's been working hard. He does a great job. His team does a great job. Maybe it costs a lot of money to get licensing. I know Disney probably fucking flamed Nintendo's asshole for that.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, like that must have been hard for them to get Sora. I know you got some super chats to go through.
No, that's fine. We can do that right after this topic. But yeah, I think ultimately, I don't know if money's a problem for Nintendo. It's probably just like, I respect the idea of just finishing it. Like they finished strong. It felt like you said full circle, felt complete. I'm okay with them moving on and just concluding it, not keeping it going forever. So I would be a hypocrite based off what I said about Far Cry to be like, keep going. I just think this is clearly a very good product that no one else is doing. And so I want it to keep going. But if they're going to do it, like I said, I hope they do something different next time. This is a pinnacle Smash game. I thought that the 3DS and Wii U one it's not as fun. I think part of it was the cast of characters I didn't care for as much, but I think the other part of it, was I remember I played it on the 3DS, so that's part of the reason why. But like when Bayonetta came out on the Wii U, like it was just, she was broken. I feel like we didn't have that as much. Like we had Hero with the crit hits, but that was not as bad.
But that's not like sustainable, you know. He's like broken in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had to have a game of chance in there. So anyway,
yeah. I just want to say, like in regards to that, I feel as if they kept it going, maybe like we would see lesser quality characters coming out. You know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Absolutely. All right, let's get into those super chats that you brought up. First one comes from Jay. Hey, Matty, I just started watching a few months back with your old Dragon Age Origins videos. Kopi, you helped edit those, by the way.
I did.
Question time.
That was fun.
What were your main choices through the game? Love the new show. Keep it up. Go Capitals. Thank you so much for supporting. That's tough to go through without being like super specific. No matter what, you keep Liliana in your party. She was my favorite. I'm trying to think because there's a lot of instances in that game where you could do choice. Of course, you always want to side with the werewolves. I know it's not the good guy choice, but that was one I always liked to do, especially even growing up. Like normally I was a good guy in Dragon Age Origins, but like that was one of the choices I made, was siding with the werewolves. And I'm trying to think of all the other ones. You had the Circle or the Templars, and I always went with the Circle. Those were some of the choices I can think of right now. It's been a little bit since I've played it, but thank you for supporting. And then J Train said, hey, Matty, you and Cog are killing it on DD. Love the work you both do. Have you guys considered bringing Adam Sessler on as a guest? Would love to see both of you pick his brain. Yeah, most guests are on the table, for sure. We're more than open to that, so we can look into that. We have some cool guests lined up right now, though, up until the end of the year, but that's not final. That's just, we have a lot of awesome ones that people are going to be excited about. So thank you so much for your super chats and for financially supporting the show. We really do appreciate it. I don't like to talk about it too much because it sounds a little weird, but it does help the show run and make it worthwhile. So thank you to those who take that extra step for us. All right, let's talk about Twitch. right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Big discussion there.
There was quite the leak over this past weekend or a week, which it consisted of people's paychecks too. That was kind of the main talking point for a lot of people. I had tweeted about this saying like I don't really see the big deal with like you see like here I'm looking at like Critical Role made almost $10 million since
XQC was like 8 million, 9 million.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. XQC made almost 8.5 million in the last 2 years. This is just Twitch, by the way. This doesn't include like sponsor payouts or any of that shit. Summit 1G made 6 million pretty much. Tim the Tap Man made like 3.2 mil. I mean, yeah, you can tell these people are clearly millionaires when you look at like their photos on Instagram and on Twitter and where they are half the time, where they're like showing up at like sports arenas just day of with like really good seats. It's like, yeah, they got a lot of fucking money. Yeah. It's clear. But there were a lot of people who were really upset about this. And I found it so interesting because like it was like in a contrast, like game developers don't get paid that much. So these people shouldn't make money. And I never understood the mindset of we have to take away from one and give to another when game developers should get paid more because they're the ones making the games that everyone on this list has based their career off of at one point or another, something that one of these developers made. But that doesn't mean they should make less, especially when I think it's a full circle thing. It's like they bring the games up from the devs. And in the case of something like Among Us, that shit wouldn't have been popular at all if it weren't for streamers. That was 2 years dead before someone picked it up and streamed it.
Yeah, not in the slightest. That game was same thing with Fall Guys, right? That's another one. I haven't actually seen that, but that's a really weird argument. Where do you think they're getting this money from? These payouts are from people who watch them, that donate, right? Like they're not donating because they like the game. They're donating because they like the content creator and they're funny and they like the chat. They like the environment.
Yep.
It's not like they're employed at a company. They're being paid. They might have like a license or not a license. They might have like a brand deal or Twitch partnership, but I don't think Twitch pays them. They just get paid through their subs for the most part. So I don't understand the whole they shouldn't get paid this much. It's like, okay, but people are donating that money to them.
Actually, what's funny is I'm reading, this doesn't include merchandise, YouTube revenue, sponsorships, or external donations.
So, not external donations? Yeah. So subs.
Yeah, subs. Your thought process still applies.
Like, so that's sort of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like these are coming from subs, and then if it doesn't even include donations, man, they're really making money.
Yeah, because like I remember like during the stream with I was watching Tim the Tap Man try to go for a crown at one point because as a content creator, like I'm just curious in general, like how much does this dude make? And I would just like post up for 15 minutes and like $50, 20, 30, 50, 10, 5, 20. Like just in 2 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, these guys make thousands in minutes at times. And it's unsurprising. It's unsurprising.
And not to say like, oh, their job's hard or anything, but a lot of these people would dedicate a lot of their time to streaming to an unhealthy degree. I mean, XQC is notorious for streaming like 24, 48-hour streams.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they earn their money. Not saying that they're doing hard work, but people like them for a reason. They get subs for a reason. They're entertaining.
It is hard work. I'm sorry. I know people don't like to hear it. Yeah. Is it as hard work as being like a construction worker? Fuck no. I don't think any of us pretend to do that. Like I don't pretend my job's more difficult than someone doing like again construction work. That's not how I look at it. Or it's equally as pleasurable as like sitting and doing a desk job in a cubicle. It's like no, we definitely live a more privileged life and we have a great position to work from. But it's still work. There's still a lot that goes into it, and it's exhausting. And I think it's just one of those situations where I always hate to do that knee jerk kind of thing, but a lot of people have been saying it. I think it's true. It's just like go try it. Go try and see for yourself what it's like to run a business and balance content creation and all that goes into it because it grows. Like, and when it grows, you'd be surprised the amount of responsibilities that get lopped on top of that. It's a lot because as you expand, you have to change, you have to adjust constantly. And if anyone's been with me for a while, you've seen me do it and continue to reinvent myself. You cannot stay static. And that's kind of what sucks. You can't just rest on your laurels and be like, all right, we're good, unless you're literally at the top. But then you look at someone like Ninja, who's making good money, by the way, but he's at the top. He got comfortable, and now he's just kind of doing his own thing, much smaller streams, and I'm sure he's happy with that. But to be at the top, to rise up, you got to keep reinventing, keep creating, and that wears you down year over year. Like I'm at the point where I'm getting very tired because year over year, it's like another layer has been added, another grind has been added to it, and in my case, it's been like inch progress. Just kind of working the way down.
They're always like under the public eye, so to speak, of like the internet. When something kind of crazy or whatever happens in one of these streams, you always hear about it. And there's like certain expectations placed upon them. It's not easy. It's different. I'd say a good way to describe it is different.
Yeah.
In terms of like difficulty.
Yeah.
It's probably grinding on the mental health and stuff.
For sure.
Can't be easy. Like especially. I bet that, if I was a creator, I'd be scared to step away. Like if I come back, what if my audience isn't there? What if they moved on to someone else?
You know that clearly from me.
Yeah,
right?
you suffer from that. So imagine being in like that $8 million money making position where you're in such a good position, but anyone can replace you.
Yeah, and especially in that public eye, like I don't get that because I'm smaller, but like when you get replaced, you got people who just like tweet at you just to let you know you've been replaced.
Oh,
I don't get that. Like I have the opportunity to like if I, chill for a little bit, like a weekend or something, I'm not going to immediately get texts like I went to Camelworks, bitch, fuck you. Like you fell off, you're lost, like that type of shit. Like I don't get that, but like there are people who like the second that their shit starts to dip, like people screen cap their analytics, all this stuff, they just try to throw it in their face. Like it's just toxic.
It's like
it's horrible.
It's like going to someone's house when they got fired from their job and like that's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you brought up is really a good point, which is when you step away, like it's why if you're a patron, you'll know towards the end of the year we ramp up our video output weekly to make sure that once December comes, I can take a couple of weeks off and not worry about content creation, but I can never just take a couple of weeks off. I'm sure I'd be
There's always
okay,
something.
but yeah, there's something there. Like I need to make sure like the videos are scheduled, that they're there, they're ready to upload, that my Twitter's scheduled to promote it. Like once again, this is not hard work, but there's a mental taxation on it that you won't know until you experience it. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah. It's like when you last year Cyberpunk came out and there was so much juicy content surrounding it. Your channel boomed around December, I think even late November.
It's gonna happen again with Halo.
You wanted to step away, but you really it's like stepping away from not to like make you sound greedy, but like a bunch of money.
It's also you're on call. Like, people expect you for sure.
Oh well, yeah, too. Like they expect you to make videos about this. You've been covering it for years and years, so it's taxing.
Yeah, and again, I said the same thing will, not to make it about me, but the same thing will 100% happen with Halo. I'll definitely be on call in December. There's no doubt about it because I don't know if that launch will go smoothly. If it does, it does, and then I guess that's the thing is the content stretch out is a lot shorter because with Cyberpunk it was like here's another fucking catastrophe for you to consume. With this December you have the Game Awards where I feel pretty confident we're going to see Avowed, we're going to see Hellblade 2. That's going to be stuff to talk about for my channel. We're going to see, of course, more Halo. There's a lot there. And so, on top of what we're already building, it's going to be one of those things where I think I'm going to be on call. Jake had a great write in here in chat, which says, I'll be honest, it does irk me when I hear a very successful Twitch streamer complain about their job because they're very fortunate and privileged to be doing what they do. And I think that's a fair take. I always try to never complain about what I do. It's a job at the end of the day. You eventually kind of get into that mentality. But as long as you understand you're still lucky to do what you do, which I am, like, yeah, there'll be some days that are slower than others, but anyone who complains about it, I mean, they're pretty quick to get called out now because it's like, okay, you're obviously in a fucking good position. Like, shut up, dude.
There's a difference between complaining and then saying like, hey guys, hard, long week, lots of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a clear difference, and you can usually tell, like, if someone's like, hey, I got to take a week off. I know you have in the past before.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, you can tell when someone's like, okay, it's become work for them, and they're dealing with it. They appreciate their job. They respect that they have the privilege to do it, but it still is work, and I think people don't recognize that. You got to put yourself in other people's shoes.
On the other note, there was a security breach, which I don't know how severe it was, but I was combing through it. I changed my password for everything, so I would just recommend to the audience, if you have Amazon account, Twitch account, there was a breach there. They said there was nothing leaked. Like, the idea of the leak was to get like API data out and stuff and expose like Twitch's tool sets, all of that. It was like a specific attack, not to leak any data, but still there was a breach. Consider changing your password and all of that content. But yeah, just on the note of Twitch streamers, I just want to throw out there that there's a reason I create YouTube. I want to, just so people who pay attention to my content know, like, there's a reason I do YouTube. And I've told you this, Kopi, but it's because like I couldn't handle streaming every day.
Mm-hmm.
There is something there that I will say in defense of streamers that's really taxing. And it's like, I choose to do video content and the occasional stream because I'm an anxious guy and I can't sit there for like 8 hours and play video games in front of you. I just can't. Mm-hmm. I can maybe do it once a month, but there are people who do that every day of the week or 5 days a week. And I tip my cap to them because it takes a very particular talent who wants to be there, who wants to be live. Not only that, but you can't sit there. Like, you and I think we put on a good show because we save our energy. And when we go live, we're live for about 2.5 hours, and we give our energy, and then we rest and recharge for the next week. And I go better in bursts. Like, if you meet me at a convention, you'll see, like, I have my energy. Like, I'm authentic. Like, I'm exactly what I am on camera. But, you know, it's also like there are times where you mellow out a little bit, and you'll hear more of that here on the podcast, where I just kind of talk very matter of factly. And you know, I just wanted to shout out streamers in general because it looks fun when you see the highlights and lit moments, and you're like, yo, this looks like such a good time. But they got to be like that consistently. And some do it very fake, like they're like, everything's sick, everything's lit, everything's a movie. And there's some who are just like very genuine and authentic. So yeah, I just want to shout that out real quick. There's a reason why there's some of us who do videos, and it's because it's, you know, it's way more manageable. You know, I'm sure I could make a killing doing streaming if I really fucking wanted to, but I love doing videos. I like making a thing, and some people like to be live as entertainers, and so I celebrate them for that. And congrats to those who made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, even like last week I was on the podcast. I was kind of tired because I did a lot of schoolwork before, and you know, like I wasn't droning, but I was like sleepier, and my voice was quieter, and I wasn't as hype. So just doing like a podcast for 2 hours, 3 hours, like for me is like tiring. So I can't imagine like sitting in front of a camera all day, and like you said, this just takes a certain type of person, and you respect it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Once again, I just want to emphasize for our listeners, we know there are harder jobs out there. We know some of you work those harder jobs, and we respect and understand that. Just, you know, it's something that I think education can be called for. So with that, let's move on to our next and final bit of news, which is GTA, the trilogy. It was previously rumored. It's finally launching this year. As we speak about it here on October 8th, we don't have a release date, Paul, but I envision it'll be within the next month or so. It's coming to Switch, we saw. And this is going to be GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. They're back. They're reinventing and modernizing some of the mechanics in the game. I'm kind of whatever on this. You know, I'm not a big GTA guy, I got to be honest. Never have been. I enjoyed what GTA I did play. Like San Andreas, I played a lot growing up. I played a decent amount of 5. I liked it a lot. There's actually a lot of content on my channel for GTA 5 because it was that big that I was like, all right, let's talk about it. But other than that, I'm not big on GTA. So this to me is like, cool, glad it exists. I'm more of a bully guy. But where are you on GTA, the trilogy, returning?
I'm excited for it. I'm a big GTA guy, but I haven't played a lot of the older games. I played 4 and 5. I love both of them. I love 5 especially. 5 is a huge part of me growing into like gaming socially with people. I have, oh my god, so many hours in Grand Theft Auto Online. So like it's kind of.
I do remember you showing me your crib in GTA Online. I was pretty stunned by that.
Dude, that game is I don't want to say it's underrated because a lot of people love it, but I think online has a lot of fun, especially if you have a group of friends that you tackle it with regularly. But I want to go back and play San Andreas. As for the other ones, well, whatever, kind of cool, kind of. That's how I feel about it. I'm like indifferent to it, but I think for those who are excited, My friend Crystar, she was in the chat earlier. She loves Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
And she was like getting nostalgic over the themes in the trailer.
That's cool.
So I think it's yeah, I think it's exciting. It's cool, and I'm happy Rockstar is doing something else.
Yes.
That's what I'm more so excited about.
Yes.
And they need to take this and bring it to other series. Like I would love for them to bring Red Dead Redemption 1, upscale it.
That was the rumor, Paul, right? The rumor was, I think Kotaku, funny enough, was the one who did it, but they seem to have been on point here. They said that GTA is coming and they're going to do something with Red Dead next, potentially, based off what happens with GTA. So if this is supported, you may get what you're looking for.
I hope so. I don't know if you remember, you might not even have heard of it, but when Red Dead 2 came out, people found audio files for Jack, which is John's son, and you get to play as him at a certain point in Red Dead 1 without spoiling anything. And his voice files as an adult were in the game in Red Dead 2. So that was a little weird to some people because they didn't build it off of the Red Dead engine. I imagine it was more so Grand Theft Auto 5. So, that sort of lends some credibility to said rumor. I would love to see it. And Bully for you, I imagine, is something you want to see come back.
Yeah, and it sucks because they've kind of already re-released it. They've done the Scholarship Edition. All they can really do is make a sequel, which is a full-on Rockstar game. And I imagine since the rumor is GTA 6 is next, and that's in 3-4 years, I think, is what Jason Schreier of Bloomberg reported, that I'm going to be waiting a while for something with Bully, which sucks because I think the social commentary possibilities of a Bully game are so tantalizing because, yes, you will drum up controversy 100%, but every Rockstar game does outside of, I think, Red Dead. But any GTA game, Bully,
No, even Red Dead does.
Did it really?
In certain aspects.
I must have missed that.
I mean, I think so, right? It's set in a period of time where there's bound to be some controversial things to talk about. I don't think there was, but I'm saying there's potential for it.
Yeah, I just think of I remember Lindsay Lohan was involved with GTA 5 and there were those lawsuits or something along those lines. And
Grand Theft Auto is the game that old people, parents will look at and they'll point a finger and they'll say kids can't play video games,
100%.
So yeah, I know what you're saying.
And I just think with Bully, it's Rockstar, it's not their responsibility, so I don't want it to come across this way, but Rockstar has the chance to tell a really interesting story on something that's gotten worse for a lot of kids over time.
Oh, dude,
and draw attention to bullying, because now we're in a digital age where some kids got picked on in school and they were able to go home and just not be bothered, and they could almost handle it.
It's not like that anymore.
Now in a digital age, they can get to you, and it sucks. So I think that there's a chance for Rockstar to have something that's really, really relatable and interesting and eye-opening on a story front that only they could tackle with a series. And I would love to see them do it. Not only that, because beyond that, Bully is just really fun. Bully's a really fun game because you get a fucking potato gun, you give people wedgies. It's very on the nose with some of its stuff. Swirlies. You have the factions of nerds, jocks, preps. There is all that stuff, which, of course, is a clear template for GTA Online. Which faction are you going to join? But I digress. I just think that they have a really cool opportunity here when they do bring it back, and I hope they do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the whole high school... Bully's high school, right? It's a private high school academy that you go to.
Actually,
it's not college.
I don't know if it's because all I know is it's an academy. I don't remember their age, but I would say high school.
I'd
makes
imagine
sense
high school.
You can make out with people and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's either high school or even early college, but the environment is totally different. I think it's ripe. It's time for them to go back to that series and really tackle commentaries on bullying, the digital age, how classroom environments have shifted. I mean, we had Sean on here earlier. He's a teacher. He was talking about how things are really crazy for students right now because of COVID. And I don't know. I just think there's so much potential there.
I agree. I hope they do bring it back. I would love to see it. But beyond that, I'm happy to see more GTA. I'm curious with the reports of an evolving world if they're, because GTA 6, I think Jason Schreier said like it's kind of similar to Assassin's Creed Infinity, where they're creating this open world that's going to change over time like a live service game, but it's not technically live service, which I think Rockstar could do well. But I'm wondering if they're doing this as sort of a safety net where obviously a Rockstar game, I can't dream of it being a colossal failure, although anything's possible. But if they're looking at it as like in case people don't like what we're doing with the future of our series, we have this other thing over here that is nostalgia that you can go back to and it's safe. Like maybe that's why they're also doing Red Dead 1 so that their history is kind of there and modernized, where if people don't like the future, they can go back to stuff and still play Rockstar products maybe. Like that's how I was viewing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that like they continue to sort of, I already said this, but go back and sort of bring those games because there's so many old Rockstar games. Like Max Payne 3 was the one we talked about, right?
Yes.
That's not even on the 360. You can't even play it. I didn't even know that. I haven't played it. I want to play it. So
yeah,
I don't know. Rockstar they could do with trying to do more, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, enough GTA Online for sure.
Yeah. It's had its course, you know. I love it. As someone who's played a shit ton of Grand Theft Auto Online, they need to move on from it.
Yeah, I agree. Well
but
said.
They won't because it makes a lot of money.
Yeah, or at least just, spread the wealth a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Don't Fortnite it. All right, that's our last bit of news.
Yeah, it's time to move on to patron questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have one call in waiting. Shall we do that? And then we'll do the patron questions afterwards?
Yeah, we have Unkempt Hawk, and let's move him in.
All right, let's do it up.
Hey, Hawk. How's it going?
Let's see here.
Hello.
Hi, Hawk.
Hey.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing
Good to hear
great.
from you again.
Yeah, glad to be on the show. So the thing I kind of wanted to talk about with you guys real quick has been, what's been your biggest surprise release of 2021? The game that's, surprised you the most out of anything? Because for me, it was probably Tales of Arise, having, never played the series before, never really had any interest. I did like JRPGs, but it wasn't really until I saw Maddie's review, and then I gave it a shot, and it's just been, honestly, the most fun I've had this entire year.
Wow.
It's the story really gripped me. I love all the characters. The gameplay is super fun. So it was just a really huge surprise for me. I'm wondering if you guys have any games that have really surprised you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm pulling up my list of games. I don't know if you guys do this. I might be a weirdo, but I have a list of games I've played this year. And the one that immediately came to mind was It Takes Two. It Takes Two is so fucking good. It is honestly one of the best games I've played in years. Not because I enjoy like the story. The story's good, but it's not crazy. But just because of how innovative and how far it goes to really wow you. Every like I'd say every hour in It Takes Two, every 45 minutes, you're introduced to a new mechanic, a new setting, and just tons and tons of clever, humorous dialogue. And you get to play it with a friend or like whoever. Like I played it with my girlfriend. It's kind of like one of those couples games, even though it isn't, because you play as a couple, going through the stages of wanting to have a divorce, and it's just so fun. I think it's a good way to put it. It's really fun. All the different mechanics. It's really humorous, and I was expecting it to be good and interesting. Like from the moment I saw the first trailer, I was ready to hop in. But I wasn't expecting it for it to still be my favorite game of the year. Even after playing things like Nier Replicant, Genshin Impact didn't come out this year, but it's been like my mainstay for sure this year. What else did I play this year? Hot Wheels, Deathloop. I was surprised that It Takes Two was like the one that took the cake. But if you haven't played it, go with your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, one of your close friends, and give it a whirl, because it is absolutely one of the best games to come out of this year, and it deserves all the attention.
I've definitely been wanting to play it with my fiance here, so I think
please
she
do.
would really love it. She's not a huge gamer. She mostly plays like...
It's a great game for people who aren't huge gamers too. That's another thing. Very accessible.
So I've heard. Yeah.
I'll have to give it a shot.
Let's see here.
MoveFat just moved it. Oh, I think he meant to go on.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that
anyway.
because some people are like accidentally joining call somehow in the call-in room, but that's okay. Everyone's being responsible and going back to the waiting room. Let's see here. A game that really surprised me this year. You know, it's funny. There's been quite a few, and one that it's my favorite of the year. Still, I think the reason it surprised me is because I didn't expect to like it so much would be Hitman 3, but I knew that'd be good. I think one of the better fits for a surprise was probably Neo: The World Ends With You. This was a game that came out very under the radar, also undermarketed by Square Enix big time. So undermarketed that Kuro no Kaseki outsold it in Japan. I have learned now. That's a Trails of game for those who don't know. And if you remember Dustin has a disdain for Trails of. But anyway, I digress. Neo: The World Ends With You comes out. It's this sequel to this cult classic from, I want to say 2007 or 8 on the DS. It has honestly no business existing. And when I finished the first game, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if there needs to be more done here. And they actually made a really good game that I ended up liking more than the original. It's a fun-ass action RPG with really, I thought, innovative combat. It's all based off pins. And so there's this thing called the, I think it's called the beat drop system or something like that, where you time your combos with a little meter. And as you're like mashing away, as long as you're switching attacks, you continue to stun and stagger the enemy you're attacking. And it just gets its own rhythm, its own flow. That's really not like anything I've played in a while. And then the story is very touching. It's still very The World Ends With You, though. So it's told through a lot of like speech bubbles and character portraits with the occasional cutscene here or there with this just almost out of place music that makes no sense why it's there. You get this hard rock or this light beat every now and then. I don't know. It's such an out there game where the fact that it worked and it felt fun to play and it was as good as it was, and it became one of my, I'd say top 5 easily. I'd have to really shake out my list to see if it lands in the top 3, but it's one of my favorite games of the year for sure. And even though I knew I was a fan of The World Ends With You, I was kind of feeling low confidence because it felt like Square Enix was hiding it. Again, I don't think it had much business existing, but it proved why it needed to exist once I played and beat it. Where once I finished it, I was just stunned. I was thinking to myself, wow, that I like that way more than I thought I would. And I think that's a better feeling than just having a really good game is when you're shocked by one. So that would be my pick personally.
Yeah, those two are awesome picks. I know for me, aside from Tales of Arise, like I mentioned, going into Ratchet, I was thinking, I like, 3D platformers, this kind of game, but I'd never played Ratchet before. And so with this being my first experience with the PS5, it was kind of mind-blowing just to play that. It was so much fun. Yeah, so this year's been great for me for surprises, especially getting, back in kind of the retro bag. I've been playing
Nice.
Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster on Steam. That's been great. That really needs to come to console here soon.
Yeah, hopefully, right? I don't know how they didn't do that. It's interesting because I feel the same as you is the bigger surprises for me did sit in retro, because now, especially with Retro Rebound, I feel a little more liberated to like dive back into older stuff. Not like I couldn't before, but I'd have to be a lot more selectful, where like I said at the beginning of the show, like now I'm diving into Resident Evil 4 because there's a strong, compelling reason behind it, and I can do it where like things are still pretty busy and it feels right. And that surprised me too. Like that's been one of the best surprises this year, because I've heard for decades on how, or not, I shouldn't say plural, but over a decade, how great this game is, right? And I'm playing it and it's almost like coming as advertised. I don't think it'll be one of my favorites of all time, but I'm thinking to myself, this is I can see why this is a special game. And oftentimes with all that hype, it's hard to see why something is special instead of just, this is a good game. But like seeing what it did and how it did it and going, this was in 2005. It reminds me sort of how I felt about ActRaiser when I was playing it. I was like, this is such a clever game. It's such a well-designed game. There's so much thought behind it. And so I'm with you on that. Like there's been some retro or re-releases, if you will, that have really surprised me as well.
For sure. And, I just want to add here real quick before I get going to let somebody else in.
Of course.
For anyone that hasn't checked out Retro Rebound, do it. It's awesome, especially if you have a slight interest in, even retro stuff.
Retro Rebound
it's really
is
good.
very awesome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I wanted to congratulate you on the success of the channel so far, and hope that it just keeps getting better and better.
I hope so too. Yeah, I feel like when I commit to something, I feel it's easier for an audience to commit. So I'm just gonna keep chugging away on it. It's really easy to do videos for that channel because I just sit there and come up with the ideas, and then I send the videos to Lockmort to edit them. He does a great job, so they come out. Like I said on my announcement video, I'm like, these are kind of coming out better than my own personal channel because Lock gets to take time with them. I get to take time with them. Their videos twice a week. But yeah, thank you so much for the support on that. It means a lot. I really like making content for that channel.
Yeah, no, it'll do better.
Yeah,
it'll keep getting better and better. You do have a great idea there, and you're tapping into a market that's definitely booming this year.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's going to continue to with how gaming becomes more and more of like a platform, monetization, all that shit. So that wasn't even part of my master game plan, but it seems like the right timing now.
People want a nice comfort space where they can go back to their old favorites.
Hell yeah. Well, on Chem Talk, we appreciate you calling in. Yeah, it was great talking to you again.
Yep, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, guys.
Of course. Thank you so much, man.
Yep. All right, see ya.
See ya.
Let's bring in Ray once more. Hello, Ray.
Hello, Ray. Welcome. Ray tried to join earlier. Well, sneaky.
Yeah.
Sneaking in there.
He did pull that. His mic muted and unmuted, so he is here. Just I'm sure he's having a.
Sometimes it takes them like a second to like, I don't know where they're like tapped in. It's really odd. See, there it is. I told you.
We're on now. Absolutely.
Hey, Ray.
Hi, Ray.
Hey, good to hear from you guys again tonight. First note, Matty, I definitely agree with you about what you said about Neo: The World Ends With You. I haven't played the game myself, but I found it entertaining enough where my brother-in-law has been playing since the game came out. He's been on it and still hasn't finished it yet because he's just doing so much content. And we go over there in the evening because we all actually live together, and I'm just set down a couple of beers next to him and I go, hey, I want to watch this game for a while. Right. And that's just how entertaining it is. And that's beyond, we already watched the anime together as well that they have on, is it on Hulu? I think it is on Hulu.
I actually don't know where it is, but
it's Funimation.
Yeah. By the way, Ray, just so you know, there's like a loud fan in the background. I don't know if that's something you'd be able to adjust just for the audio listeners, just to be careful with that, because I know it was coming across a little loud when you were speaking.
Is that off now, or is it still
yeah,
persisting?
That's a lot.
It sounds
better.
a lot better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I still need to watch that anime. I haven't. I want to because I'm going to pick up Neo just because I know it's one of those games that's going to go up in value.
Yeah,
I got
mine anymore. Mine's shredded.
Oh yeah, yours is fucked.
Yeah.
That's shredded.
Mine's a weapon of war now.
A shuriken.
Oh yeah, that was in your video where you.
Did you make your? Did you vertical? I didn't mean to cut you off.
What's up?
Sorry, Ray.
Yeah, which one of you? Both of you talked at the same time.
I'll already go first.
Yeah, I saw your little clip where it turned into a razor's edge.
Oh my god, yeah. I think that's what you were saying, Paul. For those who don't know, I put it on my Twitter account. Video actually, like, it says it was at like 40,000 views. I'm like, Jesus, okay. I didn't expect that, but it was a video of me just describing like what's happening with my PlayStation 4 discs currently, which is if I leave my PS5 for way too long, it spins and grinds down my disc.
Ninja blades.
It really does. And my PS5 is flat. It's on an even flat surface. It's the kickstand for it is in the center. And it's grinding down my discs. My Neo: The World Ends With You copy is fucking serrated. And I had a couple of people tweeting at me saying I was trying to intentionally slander PlayStation. That was one. I was told by a number of people it was because I was white. That was one thing I got for both that and when I made my take on Marvel, where I was just like, hey, I don't know if how I feel about another spinoff of a show that kind of felt like a spinoff too. And I got a lot of responses saying that it was because I was white. And I was like, I don't know what my skin color has to do with my take on a fucking spin-off Marvel show, but go off. But I've been getting that a lot lately too. So that's what happened with with the serrated blade debacle over on my PlayStation 5 on Twitter. But anyway, Ray, your question.
Fantastic.
I've completely
All right.
sucked the air out of the room with that.
No worries. It's actually a funny story about your Twitter debacle. But so we're kind of a big Smash family here. We love Smash Brothers. So I just wanted to make that part clear. But if you were able to take and just open up the gates, it doesn't have to be Nintendo restricted. And you could put 5 characters from any franchise into Smash Brothers.
Wow.
Who would they be?
Oh, I like that question. Nice and simple. All right, Paul, take the stage if you got it. Let's do 5 combined so we can keep it like a little tighter. Is that okay with you, right?
Okay, yeah.
Instead of doing 5 each.
Quick caveat. If you want to turn any of the Mii characters that they've used, like Dante from Devil May Cry, or what they just did with Doom Guy, or the Fallout icon, you can turn one of those into a character too, if that's something that you like to do.
Okay.
So is it all from one single franchise, or just wherever? Just throw a bunch of characters?
Any franchise.
Wow.
Just,
Okay.
The floodgates are open, Paul. Take your choice.
All right, Matt. I'll let you go first, but we'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
Easy.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna pick I think we'll both get our obvious ones out of the way. For me, Master Chief, right? Like, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. I want him in so badly. I think he's a gaming icon since 2001. He belongs in Smash. He is one of the biggest faces in gaming, and I think it's time. So I pick Master Chief as number 1.
Okay. It's funny. I thought you were gonna say. Actually, you'll probably say it after, so I won't say. For me, let's see. I would love to see them bring Vault Boy. I know he's a Mii fighter, like you said, but you said we could use those, and the reason why is because he's all the different perks, like the perks and like all the dude. He would be like Game and Watch, but like for Fallout fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he would be so fucking cool in Smash. So yeah, Vault Boy. Love me some Fallout representation. Please bring us our boy.
I agree.
What do you got next?
I want Zero from Mega Man. He is a assist trophy. They add all these fucking sword characters to Smash. I don't know why Zero isn't one of the sword characters, but it is his time. It is time. It has been time. It has been a long time overdue. Zero is as iconic in my eyes as Mega Man. Bring Zero into Smash.
Okay. I'm gonna. Wow, hold on. I got it, Matt. You might have to take this next one because I have a lot of characters I'm thinking of, and I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to pick the perfect one.
Okay. Let's see here. What was this one will shock the audience based off our call-in from episode 2. They'll know what call-in I'm referring to in just a moment. I'm gonna pick Shadow the Hedgehog. I think that this character would be fucking awesome in Smash. I would love to see Shadow in Smash because he's got guns, but he's a cooler Sonic and he's a little edgier. Dude, his end of battle quotes, his taunts would be fucking hilarious. Like, there's so much room there. He's like the only character in Sonic that I actually kind of dig, and I think it's because he's such a meme. I would love to see Shadow in Smash. So that's gonna be my time buyer pick for you.
Okay, so I for some reason
he's laughing at me, bro.
Dude, no, I think it's funny too. That's a horrible pick. But anyway. All right. So you guys know me, big waifu guy. I was going through my list of waifus and I was like, all right.
Oh no.
That's why I wanted to take a second. I wanted to get the right one. And I think Matt, you'll like this one.
All right.
Bring us 2B. We need her.
Okay. All right. I can get on with that. Yeah.
I love 2B. God, they could do so much with her movesets. They already have Bayonetta in there. 2B is a very eye-catching character. We'll get her.
Eye-catching, okay.
We'll bring the pod in, maybe 9S could be there too. I would love some 2B in Smash.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because I think 2B's in Soul Calibur 6's DLC, I want to say. And so
that was Geralt of Rivia, right?
Yeah, that was the one with Geralt.
That is so sick. I wish she was in Smash.
I know. She'd be perfect for it, but they put her in Fall Guys instead. Like, okay. Okay.
2Bean.
Yeah, 2Bean. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Dude, I love that. I don't care. I never got it, and I'm kind of sad because my girlfriend and I grind Fall Guys sometimes, like randomly. It's really fun when you're playing with like someone like that. But yeah, 2B. All right, we have one more, I think, right? That was 4.
That was 5. Yeah, that was 5.
Was it?
Because I picked 2.
Oh, okay.
I picked 2 in a row, so that was 5. So those are our selections, Ray.
I gotta say, I like the choices, but I'm a little disappointed at the lack of Fire Emblem characters.
Oh,
I was thinking about Marianne because I really like Marianne, but she's not really notable.
Fire Emblem just needs to go make their own fighting game. That's all.
Maybe a Pokemon Fire Emblem fighting game next.
Yeah, right. I would dig that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, thank you so much for the answer, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Of course, Ray. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much for
tapping in.
calling again.
I like the question.
Thank you.
All right, we got one more tap in waiting for us. This is a new one.
Yeah, let's bring Noah J. Stevens in.
All right. Noah.
Hello, Noah. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. Great to hear from you.
Hi.
I actually, I just signed up for the Patreon, so I.
Oh, you're
Thank
the
you.
first person that has joined the Patreon just to be on the show. So welcome.
Yeah. I mean,
seriously,
I
thank you.
intend to keep the subscription.
Absolutely. Great community here.
Yeah, I appreciate the content that you create, and I'm also a patron of the Last Stand Media.
Thank you.
Patron.
You.
So
We appreciate
Sweet.
that.
you and Cog do great stuff, by the way. So
Thank you. It's great to talk to you, and I appreciate you. As Data Lade put it perfectly in chat, you're new blood. We appreciate you joining in. That's kind of the idea. We wanted people to like sign up mid-show, get in with a question they had on the tip of their tongues, and like talk with us. Like that's what we're really hoping for. So thank you for making the leap of faith here.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm a little
No,
I'm a little flustered right now.
No, please take your
Don't worry.
time. That's what this is all about. You're at the end of the show, so you're good.
Oh, cool, awesome.
It's all cool.
Yeah.
No worries.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you guys are doing good. I guess my question has more so to do with content creation. So I have been doing YouTube for like a long time, since like, back in the good old days. And I never really stuck with one particular channel. I've been moving around for like years and years, not really sure what I wanted to do. I've done some stuff from like doing short films to doing stop motion animation stuff with like Legos and stuff like that. So recently, to make a long story short, recently I started making more content again around video games, doing it more of like a sort of like JonTron, or like what sort of similar to what you do, where it's more about being in depth with it, with your opinions and stuff. And to get to the main meat of it, I'm sorry about that.
No,
But
I apologize.
But I guess I always get in this weird lull where I'll put a lot of like effort into like one video, and then I'm like super exhausted after that, and so I'll just like, I'll think about the next video, and then I'll go like, man, like I don't know if I want to like do it right now, if I just want to like wait, or
I relate a lot to what you're saying right now. Matt, probably not as much, because I know you're established, and all that. But I don't know if you know this, Noah, but I have a channel too. I recently uploaded a Far Cry 6 review, and it's like whatever. It's like 40 views, but it's sort of, I understand what you're saying. Like you put so much effort into it. It's a lot of work. I'm surprised Matt does it daily. Like it's really hard.
Yeah.
You can keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt it.
Oh no, you're totally good. I appreciate your input. But like with the videos I've been wanting to do, I kind of wanted to make it like different. I didn't just want to do like, here's like another, video review of a video game that's like super recent or anything like that. So a lot of the games that I do are a little older, not like super, super old, but like just whatever games that I have played in the past that I really like, that just happen to be games from the past. But and I do these things where, Maddie, it's sort of the similar thing where I think you did you do a KOTOR video not that long ago where you did the sketches in between where was the dialogue windows?
That was Jade Empire RPG.
Jade Empire, that's what it was.
Yep,
That's what it was.
Your mind's in the right place.
So I did a GoldenEye video recently where I did like the N64 intro, where it was like the gun barrel and everything. And so I want to like do that sort of thing where it's a little bit more high production value. And so it just I just wanted to make it a little bit more than just like, oh, here's me talking about a game.
Right.
And putting that much effort into it, just it always like drains me. And then I just, for some reason, can't find the energy to do like the next video.
Sure.
And so getting to the question, I guess my real question is like, what is your process for finding that energy again to like get right back into the next one? And I guess for me it's a little bit different because I'm assuming that YouTube is your full-time job.
Yeah, you'd assume correctly, but I definitely had that beforehand, where I was making content near daily. I think the main difference was like when I felt sick or I didn't feel like doing something, I didn't, and I would like take a week off or 2 weeks off or just fall off the map for a while. And I don't do that anymore. So the way I sort of keep going, I think, well, I don't want to say tough to relate because I know where you're at and I'll explain that in a second. But like right now, it's not the case with Mr. Matty Plays because, we have a nice foundation and I know I'm putting it out to an audience that expects something and wants something. So it's a lot easier to be like, time to create something, at least in my head. Because my videos aren't low effort, but they're also not like what you're talking about with like a 007 barrel intro. Like I'm not doing that. Like I'm just, sitting down, matching up gameplay, news clips, that type of stuff. That's my typical Mr. Matty upload. So part of it's like the expectation, knowing people are going to be there, that helps me get going. But with Retro Rebound, I can relate because I'm so, I don't want to say accustomed, because really it's only been this last year and change that the channel's picked up steam. Before that, though, my channel was just like constantly ebbing and flowing from being dead to thriving. Like I just never knew what to expect. I never knew what worked, where at least now I have something, but I'm not super comfortable with it because I've been like burned by YouTube so many times. So really with Retro Rebound, it's been different because having a foundation does not exist there. And not only that, but I have to change how I think, where it's like, okay, I need to reach out to a new audience now beyond what I currently have. And that means doing different things. And that means putting effort into things that may end up not working. Like I might have, just like on Mr. Matty, like have a video I think is a really good idea. I think of my Humanity's Worst Game series. Like I think it's a legitimately really fun to watch, fun to engage with, high effort series that performs like shit. And what happens, sadly, is I think the reality with YouTube is you have a game you play of timeliness and creativity. And I think the most successful are those who blend those together. So if you are timely and talking about stuff that people are talking about, you have a chance of being discovered. And if you are being creative with it and you are separating yourself, then that also helps. And I think the reason that's important is because you're talking about like, how do I find the energy again? And it's, I think, through finding an audience. But the second part is not that you don't, but it's just like giving a fuck. Like I think that just goes really far for me. And it gets a little more philosophical in that, because my thing is like, I think of this movie, It's a Wonderful Life, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites of all time, right? And it's really
Absolutely
a story, of course, about life itself. But underneath it, you have a story about a guy who's not a shrewd businessman, who thinks with his heart a lot, and he's trying to help people out. And I think that's a lot of what I like to do with these patron calls, is like what you're doing here is something I kind of dreamed of. Is like I get to talk to people, and yeah, this may not be the biggest banging show, but I get to make an impact, right? And that's what I've always been about. So like, for example, we're trying to make a video game now. I don't know if that's the most profitable for my business, but I get to make something that maybe impacts lives. And people will remember that more than anything, if I leave something that's impacted them. So to me, my videos are an extension of myself, and hopefully people will remember me one day when I'm gone. So that's how I look at it a lot. Is it's, of course, a job. Yes, I make money, and I am comfortable to some extent right now at age 26. But I also want people to not forget me. I don't know. Part of it's like a fear, but I also just want to make something that people walk away from daily and they feel better. Maybe just because I had some good energy in a video to, if when our game does come out, an impact that's experiences I've had before where you walk away feeling changed from it or you think a different way. That's the type of thing I want to leave behind. Not like I'm going to be like fucking George Washington on the dollar bill type of remembered, but that's where it goes to for me. Like I can work every day because I just, even when I have like the smallest thing I'm working on right now, Retro Rebound, it's like this can build up into a little comfort zone for people who want to indulge in little nostalgia, who want to learn more about nostalgia too and retro games. And I'm more than happy to bring that, right? Like I grew up in a pretty religious household. Like I think that's pretty obvious with some of my demeanor.
Same, by the way.
Right. And, and I was never, once again, this gets a little deeper than probably what you were anticipating, but I didn't really, think, I don't think highly of church, for example, because just as I have a father who worked deeply in a church, and you realize how political it gets within the church, unfortunately. And so what I learned at a very young age, just by seeing my dad get burned by a place of worship, was like, I prefer to help people organically through things that aren't really built around that. So my channel, like extending good vibes, helping you out here if I can, making sure simple business measures, like making sure my pay is fair for anyone who works for me and above fair for special projects, like making sure they walk away like, fuck yes. That's what I'm all about. So it's really, again, to answer your question in full, it's about impact for me. That's how I dig deep. And that's how on days like today was one of those days where I'm going to be here for a while because normally I do all my work in the first half of the day, but I was feeling very burnt. And I was like, I need to take some time for myself, but I know I want to make that impact. So I'm going to put the extra hours in after this show when it's done at like probably 9 at night.
Yeah. That I really like what you, everything you have to say.
Thank you.
It's funny because like I haven't watched the most like recent episodes of the Retro Rebound channel, but the first one that you did with the what was it, the Nokia
thing.
Yeah. That was really great. And every time I see a new video get uploaded, I'm just like, damn, I gotta work on the next one. Not that it's a competition or anything, but it's like every time I see a creator that I look up to, I just get inspired, and I'm like, I gotta. I really do need to work on the next one.
As you said, it's not a competition, but try to pull yourself out of that as much as possible. Like if you have TubeBuddy, that's like a thing that compares analytics, like yours versus theirs. Fucking uninstall that. It makes your life easier in a couple of ways, but it's not worth it because you're always going to see people doing above you and below you, and you're always going to find yourself in the middle, and it gets frustrating on like a metrics front. Just steer away from that. I found, and this does come from a place of being able to have the luxury of like, I'm on my platform doing my thing, is I don't watch as many gaming creators anymore because I don't want that jealousy. I want to think for myself too, because I do 2 podcasts, right? Like I want to make sure my thoughts are originally mine and not like regurgitated versions of someone else's. It's just, and it happens like just naturally through listening to content. Like you're like, that's a good thought. You don't want to have that, honestly. That's the other thing is don't let the pressure of what others are doing get to you. Just do your thing, right? Like everyone's businesses work differently. I'm friends with creators who like Kev DeWitt, who does amazing work. I love Kev's channel. One of the few I actually do watch, but Kev's upload schedule is radically different from mine. Like I upload 6 days a week. If you include this podcast, he uploads maybe like once every couple of days to a week. And I'd say our workloads are probably the same. Like he's a highly edited, hilarious guy, does streams, like he's doing a lot of different things, but I'm also tinkering on like 40 different videos a game, yada yada yada. So everyone's doing their own thing in their own little environment, and ultimately it's best just to focus on you and let people only leave a positive impact. Like if you see I upload, be like, fuck yeah, I want to upload, not like, shit, I should have uploaded, that type of thing. Paul, I think you have something to say.
Yeah, as someone who's not necessarily in your position, but also sort of, I'm like, I would consider myself a content creator on a very low scale. Like it's not my career by any means. I'm going to school to be a journalist, but I'm taking those skills I'm learning, like finding facts and sort of just reporting to put it into video games, right? Last year I started writing video game news articles, and like more so my big thing were like thought pieces and analyses. But one thing I found was, instead of looking at people, above you or someone who's already like established, I found that collaborating with people who are also in your position, who are trying to break into that industry, break into that medium, not so much looking at them as competitors, but looking at them as colleagues. Some of the greatest things I've done was join this writing website called Superjump, and it's I didn't get paid for it, and I still don't get paid, and I don't write there very much often anymore, but I found that collaborating with other people who are trying to make their way into the same space I am has been tremendously helpful, and it helps you feel like you're a part of a community, and it helps you feel like, I guess like you could say a student, like when you're in school, going to a brick and mortar school, it's a lot easier learning and growing and learning skills or whatever, educating yourself when you have other people around you doing it. So reach out to other people, try and build on top of them, and help them build on top of you. And Matt's advice is great. Don't you stick to your own space and make sure that you don't like steal people's ideas. But if you are looking to communicate with others and grow as a content creator or whatever, look to people around your same playing field, because that's how you really grow. Not trying to reach up to people out of left field. In games journalism, I see people follow verified. I used to do this. You follow a verified games journalist and try to reply to them and get into their mentions, and eventually you realize there's no point. Just talk to people around you, and sort of build your own little ring and your own community. And that's a good way to break in, because you establish yourself. You don't have this artificial sort of established nature. Matt's way, larger than me in content creation and stuff. And right now being on his podcast is super helpful, but doing it now where I've established myself as a games journalist, so to speak, versus a year ago when I had nothing to my name and I was just basically his friend. It's totally different. Now I feel like I've earned the space, so to speak, not because I deserve it or whatever, but because I've went out there and I've created YouTube videos, and I suffer from the same thing you do. I did a video a week ago, and it was so much energy went into it. I was up until 3 a.m. Matt, you remember?
Yeah, we were texting. Yeah.
It's hard. So take it slow and just remember that keep it fun, keep it a passionate thing. Don't make it into a metric thing. Don't try and one up another person, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I definitely do think that trying to make it something that's not like a race is definitely a good thing, because I think you just end up crashing and burning at the end of the day if you so I'm still trying to work on stuff. And I guess even when I'm not working on the videos necessarily, I'm trying to keep myself occupied creating in other spaces like music and stuff like that. So
having a focus helps too, by the way. Just on the note of you mentioning multiple things, my girlfriend loves doing 1,000,001 things, and I've always been an advocate of and everyone's different, right? So maybe this works for you. For her, I know it works that way too. I like to do a lot of little things, but over time, we've been dating about almost 4 years now. You're seeing her start to narrow her focus, because that's how you start to develop certain things and certain skill sets. Is you narrow your focus into 2 to 3 things rather than doing 8. So just of course keep that in mind, and you'll find your stride. It's just remember also you're doing it for fun, so chip away at it. I tell people this now. I don't think I've said it on shows before, but if you look at my Retro Rebound channel, not to plug it again, but just more so as an example
you're good.
Of when people see those videos, that's the kind of content that I was hoping to make if I knew everything I knew now when I started. So what I mean by that is not the style of video. I love what I talk about now and each and every day on my channel. It's why I do it. But the time of the upload, it's spaced out every couple of days. I'm very lax with it. It's very chill. It's not like a grind. Where here on Mr. Batty, it does get a bit grindy and crunchy I put it on myself, by the way. No one else is. But, that's the type of content that style and work pattern I would hope for. But really what I'm trying to say with all of that is everyone works at a different pace with different things. So, you'll find your way, and remember that it's not your job yet. So, you can kind of take it at your own pace. Like I always, I think it was you, Paul, I said it to, is like, you were talking to me about a video and I said, well, no one's expecting something from you right now. Like, that's just the reality. Like, no one's looking for the next video from you right now. So take your time, get it right. Don't force the announcement. Don't force the content yet. Like, make sure you know what you want to do and then go for it.
Yeah. Because I've come to Matt with like plenty of video ideas and stuff. That's been like really inspirational for me, is to like jump into the divide, right, and jump in and put myself out there, my content. But I already told you, Matt, and you know, like, super helpful. So if you're looking for like that impact on people, you've definitely impacted me. So,
good.
But it's funny, when you were talking about that, I related a lot. I had thoughts like that back in like late high school and earlier college, where I was like, I want to make an impact on people. I want to make a difference. That's when I was conceptualizing my own game and stuff, and it's pretty wild how I guess a lot of people go through like that, sort of wanting to leave their impact, whatever word. Right. It's fascinating
for sure.
Yeah.
No, I hope we answered everything for you, man.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to add, you mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog. You did play the game Sonic the Hedgehog, or not Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow the Hedgehog. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Shadow the Hedgehog, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that game is fucking wild.
Yes, it's bad, but it's wild.
Oh man, great memories with that game. But
100%.
But yeah, thank you guys, thank you Paul and Maddie, for letting me join the call. This conversation was awesome.
Absolutely, yeah, our pleasure.
One of the best happens we've had yet. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to everything that y'all do.
Cool. Awesome to hear, man. It's good talking to you, and we'll see you next episode, all right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, cool. See you later.
All right, y'all take care.
All right. With that, we're running, what is it? We've been live for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we should probably do some patron questions, but not too many.
Yeah, let's do.
They're kind of piling up. We gotta figure that out.
Thing, we chipped through, and then at last minute we got a bunch more. Like, we had about 4 or 5 where I was like, we can take this longer call, and then I scrolled down and was like, oh wait, there's a bunch. We don't want to rush anyone's though, so let's do 3. Let's keep it smart. Let's do 3 because we don't want to rush anyone, but we also don't want the show to go on too long, and we'll go from there. That's just the nature of call-ins though. But like you said, that was our best one yet. I was not gonna. Rush that guy off. I don't. Especially when we can make that impact. Like, that's not to the audience. That's not something I'll ever rush. So appreciate that calling from Noah.
Absolutely.
Let's get the first writing going though. Pixel Anarchy. Hey, Ham fam. First and foremost, wanted to welcome Kopi to the family and congratulate you both on the new show and Maddie on the new channel. Thank you, Pixel. We appreciate you. I'm new to the Patreon despite being a listener over a year now, and I found everyone very welcoming since the moment I joined the community, and I think Noah will find the same thing. With that out of the way, the inquiry. I've had Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers on the mind quite a bit, mostly at Maddie's comments about the art direction of the game. While I know you said you preferred an art style akin to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, do you think a Marvel game could benefit from a realistic art style that derives more from the books than the movies without having to use a comic book-like art style like cell shading? Personally, I'd like to see something that takes inspiration from artists like Alex Ross, who blends the golden age of superheroes with the realism of Norman Rockwell paintings. I've also felt this way about many modern movies or Marvel movies and their art directions. What are your thoughts? You know, it's funny. I like this question because I can think of a game immediately that did do this, where they didn't do a realistic art style, but they took an art style from a book, or in this case, a comic, rather than like a really popular rendition of them. And it was a game I don't like. TMNT Mutants in Manhattan, a game that I'm notorious for despising, but they used the IDW version of the Ninja Turtles there. And that was not a popular version of them, but it was a version that looked really good. And it probably let them leap a legal hurdle or two, they being Platinum, to make the game. So I know that the question was, do you think a Marvel game could benefit from a realistic art style that derives more from the books than movies without having to use the comic book art style? But that's a game I immediately think of one that did benefit from kind of the opposite, if you will. But do you have any answers for this? Because I don't know if I can think of. I don't know books for Marvel, right? He said without.
I think what he's saying is, if you take the I guess like, is he saying books or comic books? Because
yeah,
from
'cause
what
he
I
says
understand,
books first, then comic book after, without having to use a
Yeah.
comic book like art style.
I think he's asking if you take the designs and sort of like the, not the style, but the how they look in comic books, but they make it realistic.
Yeah.
As I,
Okay. Yeah.
as I think that, I don't know.
I almost think that would look
but
a little more weird.
yeah, but to answer his question, or her, I don't know, Pixel Anarchy. I love when games or anything tries a different art style. I always find it to be so refreshing. And even if I don't like it, I still appreciate them trying to do it. The visually stimulating things are very important for a video game. So if they were to take a different art style, whether it be realistic, comic book, or whatever they haven't done, and apply it like a pixel art style or something, I would love it.
Yeah.
I would give it a shot. And, well, I wouldn't love it, but I would welcome it. And if I didn't like it, I didn't like it. If I did, I did. Always try to improve art style and try something new.
It's so
I think
important. It's the first thing you
it's
see.
insanely important.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's your first impression. Like Octopath Traveler, that game looks phenomenal, but I feel as if it didn't have that distinctive art style that's so appealing to me, it's like eye candy, man.
Yeah.
If it didn't, I don't know if I would have tried it, and that sucks to say,
agree.
but that's just how it is, you know.
I agree entirely. And I think that's why these companies should just steer from any type of realistic art style from the movies, because it would probably be better from the books, because for most who don't read comic books, I read a decent amount, but for most who don't, they'll probably just be like, oh, different look. That's kind of cool. But what happens is when you make these knockoff movie versions of them, I don't even know if they're recognizable in a way where like a little kid seeing Avengers from Crystal Dynamics would go like, oh, yeah, that's just like Robert Downey Jr. It's like, no, bro, what the fuck? It's like you pulled them off the streets. Like, nah, it's definitely not. So I think ultimately it would still look weird if you knew about it, just like it does with the movies. Like it would always look weird unless it was like an original design. But I think it may be better for the general public if they switch up the designs a little bit more. But usually it has to be pulled from something, unless you get something like Spider-Man PS4, which had its own original costume made for that game, which was a great example of where I think it can work.
I love that too. Like, especially when you're seeing Marvel in general, just sort of like pull from everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, I think, is one of the more recent movies. And if I remember correctly, isn't that a brand new character?
I don't know how new Shang-Chi is, but I actually don't know anything about it.
It's a good movie. You should go see it.
I've heard it's really good. Yeah, I know nothing. Like even comic-wise, I know nothing, to be quite transparent about that.
Yeah, but assuming it is, which I think it is, or there's something that's like new about it. I think they should keep doing that. I want to see, if you're going to grow these franchises and make them larger and more encompassing of everything in Marvel, why not add more to it? You know, there's only so much content you can pull from before it starts getting old. Okay,
Absolutely.
so Shang-Chi is pretty old according to Crystar, but they've never been in the MCU, so there's just like a character they pulled. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would love to see more like whatever in Marvel, especially.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle on it because I love Marvel. I grew up on it. I grew up in an era, like many, where there was really shitty films and games for anything comic book related. Now we're kind of starting to enter the Disney territory of they just pound away until you don't care anymore. It's why, like, when they announced the WandaVision spin-off show, or not announced it, but it was leaked or revealed that it may be happening, that I was like, there's just like, not every character needs this, because the character that was once special may not be as special now, because you've now blown them out of proportion to what they actually were, and they serve their role. Like, they don't need a show. So now it's in a different space. So it's just interesting to see how comic book stuff has progressed ultimately. Our next question goes to Paco. Hey, gents, hope all is well. Kopi, what are some of your favorite childhood games? Matt, if you don't put Golden Sun in your next retro rebound, so help me. Paco, don't worry. We'll have one before the end of the year. You have my word on that. Not because you said it, but I don't know if I told you this, Paul, but like this was on our list of like the first 10 video ideas I had for Golden Sun. I'm sorry, for Retro Rebound, and one of them involved Golden Sun. But Paul, favorite childhood
actually,
games?
You might.
I don't know. I tell you a lot. I don't know how you were.
Yeah, no, you might have told Soul too. You know,
yeah, I don't know. I talk a lot.
Yeah, you need to shut up more.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I was talking to Ben about ad reads for Defining Duke, and it was like one of those jokes that you could tell there's a hint of seriousness about it. I was like, yeah, we should get Cog to do a couple. He's like, yeah, you need to shut the fuck up, honestly. Like that's what he said to me. I was like, yeah, and he like crossed it out and said sounds good, but I was just like, Ben's probably right. I talk all the fucking time. Like I'm sure people are tired of hearing from me. So
no, if they were, they wouldn't be tuning in. You're fine.
True. We're only at 134 viewers live, so maybe it's true.
No, we're at the end of the show. People are tuning in out. That's normal.
How fucking dare they?
Favorite childhood games. I love Kingdom Hearts 1. Great childhood game. So many fond memories. Sly Cooper is another one. Let me dive back into my PlayStation 2 mind. Crash Twinsanity. I don't know if you've played it, Matt.
No, I haven't.
So it's a very unique Crash game. Where you play as Cortex as well, and you sort of control them both at the same time at certain times. It's fun. It's good, and it's got a lot of great humor. And the entire soundtrack is an acapella.
Interesting.
Which is I'm surprised it doesn't get a lot of attention because it's a really good, fun Crash game. Has a lot of personality to it. More childhood games. I mentioned Pac-Man World 2 earlier. That's a great childhood game. I have so many memories.
You touched on Ape Escape already. That was another
Ape Escape. Yeah, I talk about my childhood games a lot. Ape Escape is another one. Halo 3 was a game I was playing as a little kid. Yeah,
just a way to date yourself there.
Yeah, that's one that that's like my introduction to Xbox. So that's one I grinded. I loved Halo 3. I didn't have Xbox Live, so I would just play Forge and custom games by myself.
Wow,
and
that's a lonely experience.
It sucked. I would be so excited to bring a friend over, and it was bad. I didn't get Xbox Live until later on when I was in fourth grade, I think.
I didn't get it till I was like in high school. What the fuck?
Oh wow! I didn't have a microphone until later on though, so
I used the shitty one that like it came with, like the one ear like, space astronaut thing. Like, hey, Commander, how's it going? You know, I used that piece of crap.
Yeah, it was like $20. I would go pick it up every time it broke and just got the same one over and over until I eventually invested in like a Turtle Beach.
I used to be so anti-headset. I was like, what's the difference? Like I can use my TV volume. Then I bought like a Turtle Beach, or I think I got one for Christmas, and I was because I needed it for game battles because people were like, the term was you could sound whore people, and they hear your footsteps coming around the corner.
Oh, yeah, that was a big thing.
And yeah, I was like, I was getting picked in GBs and my stats were falling. They were like, you need to get a headset. And I was like, all right, fine. And then
how were you talking to people? Like communicating with your
I would just have a headset on and I'd hear through the TV. I'd like fire up the volume when I needed to like hear people. Like, dude, it was yeah, it was so bad.
Dude, you were grinding GBs with that setup?
Yeah. Yeah, but then when I took off was when I had the headset. So I've learned. I learned and I got better from it and I admit my wrongdoings.
There you go. Yeah, those are some of my gaming gems.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of JRPG in there.
Yeah,
shooter, a lot of platformers. Banjo-Kazooie is another one. Love Banjo. Yeah,
I let's see here. So many. Spider-Man 64. I'm trying to pick ones that I don't talk about a lot, like KOTOR, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I know. I talk about the ones I mentioned all the time, but
no, it's fine. They're getting to know you, so I think it's good that you beat it into their heads because everyone associates me with KOTOR because I fucking talk about it so much.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 64 was an immense childhood game for me. Like that was quick story about it. Like I remember coming home from my first day of preschool, and when I opened the car door, there was a Toys R Us bag sitting in the back. My mom was like, "Open it! I got something for you for your first day," and it was Spider-Man 64. And I'll always remember that because like I went home. That was when games were like a dream. Like I wanted a Spider-Man game. I hoped one existed. I would like see it in the flyers. I'd circle it, and it was like this mystical thing. And my parents would come home with it. And I'd be like, "Whoa, it's actually here. It's a thing." And then we go on adventures together. Like, it was really cool. I'll always remember those days. But Spider-Man 64 was really like the first one I remember. That Oddworld Munch's Odyssey. Oh my God! If there is a game that I never speak about on my channel that I have played almost an equal amount of times as KOTOR, It is Oddworld Bunches Odyssey. That is no fucking exaggeration. I love this game. It was my 3D platformer growing up. And funny enough, it came full circle when I was in Oddworld Soulstorm. I was a Slig. Shout out to my Slig role on the train. You can hear me on one of the trains, and I was one of the few actors to actually change their voice. I put some effort into my role.
You put some effort.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy.
When's your next big debut?
I don't know, right? I that was it. That was my one pop there, and I'm never gonna be in a game again. I don't even know if I'd have the
put effort in.
Yeah,
don't hire.
I was gonna say I need a little more clout. Hopefully one day, but I don't know if I'd even have time to do voice acting or to train my voice to become one.
Imagine like you become one of those anime voices that's in like every game in anime.
Yeah,
dub.
I'm just the general NPC. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, I'm just doing those types of voices all game. Like, they pay me $20 to come into the studio and just be like NPC 43.
Oh man.
But yeah, Spider-Man 64, Oddworld Bunches Odyssey. Those would be my picks. Those are like two iconic games for me. They were important as hell growing up, and I love them dearly. Third, final question, or really set of questions here, comes from Grimblade, and then we'll wrap up the show. It's not much of a secret in this community at this point that my name is Brennan, but people call me Brendan, Brandon, and all sorts of other things. This morning, one of my coworkers email addressed me as Brienne. What is the worst someone has messed up your name in a professional setting, and how did you respond? Bonus, a friend couldn't pronounce my name, so he gave up and called me Bread. I don't know, man. Bonus. A lot of people are checking out Scarlet Nexus. If you do yourself a player and play as Kasane, the female MC, on your first game, as she controls better and has a better story. Okay.
I would do that anyway. You guys know me.
Yeah, of course. So, we have names being messed up. You have a pretty simple name, don't you? Paul. Does your name Paul ever get messed up?
I have an interesting story here.
Okay.
So, my name's Paul, and I go by Paul all the time. But growing up, I didn't go by Paul. I went by Anthony. Always. In fact, that's still what some of my family members call me Anthony. My sister does, and my mom does. No one in my family calls me. And the reason why is because I thought it was an old man's name when I was a little kid. And
really?
I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it when I grew up. Yeah, I know. It's something that a lot of like people I've met after high school don't really know about me because up until like I started 9th grade, everybody would call me Anthony, and if a professor or teacher called me Paul, my friends would be like, no, his name's Anthony, because that's what I went by. So our mutual friend Colin, he knew me as Anthony at one point, and that was like my name. So
I didn't know that.
I would always be getting called Paul when I was supposed to be. People were supposed to be calling me Anthony, but that's like my one example. But another one is just real quick before you jump into yours.
No, go for it.
People call me Kobe instead of Kobe.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Kobe. I don't know why. I don't get it.
That one's hilarious, though.
I know. It's like I wish I'm not Kobe, but yeah, I don't know.
And that's the thing. I always tried to, when I introduced you, I always tried to make sure I said Kopi. Like,
there's a P in it.
Yeah.
Or they'll call me Copy.
Copy.
That's another one.
Yeah. That's the speech to text version. Copy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think we actually had some speech to text in our server that were Copy.
Yeah, it would always be Copy. That's funny. The Kobe one I picked up on right away. Like, some people would write in chat, because if I say it quickly, and you'll see like how Daylight spelled like Kobi. That's how people would always write in, like, what does Kobe think of this? I'm like, Kobe's not with us. We have Kobe.
Yeah. So those are my two name mishaps. What about you?
Oh, mine's I don't know if it's just I can't tell if people fuck with me or if they actually know the story behind it. And the way it became a thing is stunning, because it was such a little happening, and it just was like a disease that coursed through my audience. The reason I say that is because there's a tweet that the ham radio audience can look up. It was called Marty Makes an Egg. And you literally see there's a pan on my stove. I crack the egg on the pan on the stove, and the egg is blown up on the other side of the pan. It's not in the fucking pan. I missed completely. But I put this typo, Marty Makes an Egg, because iPhone autocorrects Matty to Marty. And I posted the tweet without realizing it. And I don't know where I said it, but I was like, I fucking hate when people call me Marty because I think of like SpongeBob, like the Marty, I'm scared. I think of that shit all the time. And since then, my audience had called me Marty to fuck with me, like especially for a couple of years. They would, and obviously I don't hate it, like shut up, I don't like it, but like I'd jab back at them. But now people coming into the channel at times call me Marty. And sometimes they'll call me Mr. Marty Plays. And I'm like, that's intentional because Mr. Matty Plays like isn't an autocorrect thing. Like you're calling me Marty. And everyone does it. And I can tell when emails that I get on a business front don't get checked because people call me Marty. It's a really good way to check. And I can tell what device they're using too because they call me Marty. It's like this deep level of like, I know what just happened. It's a crazy thing. It really is. But yeah, that's definitely the worst way people mess up my name because no one ever messed up Matt. Otherwise, they M-A-T, which that was just like, dude, where's your brain at? You're calling me a floor mat? The other thing that was my last name, Schroeder, people would call me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, bro. That was like, holy Christ. My time in elementary school was hell trying to get people to pronounce my last name because.
Me too.
I remember this one guy. I'm still friends with him. I saw him at the gym just yesterday. And he's also, shout out to this ham radio story. He's the one who I stole a copy of Fallout 3 from. So there's some lore here. He was trying to get my last name right in we were teaming up for something in gym class in like 5th grade. And he's like, what's your last name? I'm like, Schroeder. He's like, Shoulder? I'm like, no, Schroeder. Schroeder. I'm like, no, he kept calling me Shoulder. Marty Shoulder is like my kryptonite. So if you want to piss me off, that's one way to do it. But that's how people fucked up my name. Shoulder being probably the most egregious.
My last name is Lombardo, and first everybody makes fun of it. They're like, oh, the typical Italian guy, right? Everybody, once they learn my last name, that's like the joke. But then they never know how to spell it. They'll put like
really?
Lumbardo, Lomberdo. Sometimes they'll just leave the O out, or they'll put an I instead of the O, like Lombardi, Lombard.
Lombardi sounds like an easy one to fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah, or just Lombard, and it's like, guys, it's Lombardo. It's not that hard.
No, wait.
But there's a lot of Paul Lombardos out there.
We got to write in that.
Oh,
I got to
boy.
also touch on. It's from Strazzy. I do get called this a fuck ton.
Yeah, I know which one.
That's my torturous name. I call it. It's Matt Scrotum. I got called Matt Scrotum all the fucking time in high school. And in hockey on my team, I would always get called Dusty Scrotum because my mustache before it grew out always looked like I had dust on my lips and then my last name. So there was like Dusty Scrotum. And like anytime I was at the rink, like people would always call me Dusty. Like that was my nickname there. It's life's full of nicknames, right? Like that's
Dusty Scrotum.
Yeah, Dusty Scrotum was a
People just called me Lombardo. I don't know why. My last name, like, not to like sound self-important, but it was always like what stuck out about my name.
Mm-hmm.
Like teachers would call me Lombardo, friends would be like, "Hey, Lombardo." It's not close friends, more like people I know. You know,
we'll name a character in our game Lombardo. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, you want to? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be? You're going to make fun of me with it. I know you will.
No, I would say you could just write them. A nice little self-insert. We just put our last names as a bunch of characters.
Yeah, Scrotum. We'll put that in there.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll work. But just completely break their immersion. All right. Well, those are the 3 questions we're going to do. We'll clean up the rest next time. We probably would have cleaned all of those up, but I didn't want to, once again, cut Noah's call in short. I thought that was really important. We took that.
It was a good call in.
Yeah.
Happened.
I'm sure the audience who's listening would appreciate that. But, Paul, it's been a fantastic episode 3. Thank you again to the audience who sat with us live. We had about 200 for most of this episode, so we appreciate those of you who are staying consistent. Last super chat here comes from Roberto Correa saying, I once ordered a beer at a bar and gave my last name. They brought me a Korean beer. They thought it was a beer for Korea. So that's actually kind of interesting. We appreciate the support, Roberto, at both the beginning and the end of the show here. But thank you again to everyone who has tuned in. Again, for those who are interested in calling in, like many did this episode, we're available on patreon.com/MrMattyPlays. Sign up for the Discord server, join up. We're more than willing to talk to you And we're really excited to do so, just like Noah did, where he joined kind of spur of the moment, and we had a nice chat. He joined at a perfect time. The later call-ins definitely go a little bit longer because the news is over. So just expect that going forward. But I thought this was a good show. I think we're finding our stride here, and we thank you again for giving us a chance here. Paul, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say to the audience, or shall we wrap it up?
No, it was a great show. Thanks for giving us a chance. I know like the first 2 episodes were good, but first one was like there was a lot of issues. The second one a little bit less, still some, but we're growing, we're learning, and this one has definitely been my favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's been a good time.
thanks for giving us the chance, and thanks for tapping in and enjoying the show.
For sure. And we'll see you all next week, 6 p.m. Eastern time, over on youtube.com/MrMattyPlays, or you can listen to the archive version, whatever works best for you. We're happy that you're just listening to us. Once again, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Fridays for live show. But with that, we'll catch all of you next time. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Take good care of yourselves, and peace out.